The boss is dead. The man who stood above many has left this mortal world. Chairman Lee of the Siang company sits in a wheelchair, surrounded by a crowd of people. Siang is the largest criminal organization hidden under the guise of a Korean conglomerate. Because of him, many colleagues were massacred. A couple of people stand in an alley, bloody and terrified. The organization has collapsed. A girl, covered in blood and fear, turns to Chairman Lee, whether for help or in disbelief. Everything was lost that day. Exactly 1 year has passed. A dark office. Through the window, the weather looks terrible. Suddenly, someone bursts into the dark room. A guy addresses Lee Dyoung, asking how she's doing. Someone is lying on the couch, completely wrapped in a blanket. The guy says he brought some incredible information, but Lee Dyoung doesn't feel like talking. But the moment he mentions it has to do with Chairman Lee, a surprised face of the girl peeks out from under the blanket. Lee Dyoung suddenly perks up and immediately demands to see the information. The guy clearly doesn't like her abrupt attitude. The girl takes a photo of some institution in her hand and begins examining it. The guy clarifies, it's a school. But he adds that the school in the photo isn't ordinary. It's attended only by the children of Korea's richest chaebols. In simple terms, it's a high school for chaebols. But this doesn't surprise Dyoung much. However, when he brings up that Chairman Lee's son studies there, Dyoung becomes instantly alert. She's shocked that the chairman even has a son. Rumors said he had no children, which always left the heir position in question. But apparently, Chairman Lee has been secretly hiding a son from everyone all this time. Defeating the chairman head-on is impossible, especially with just the two of them. And they've already failed to infiltrate his company. That's when Dyoung begins to understand her partner's plan. To take down the chairman, they must infiltrate the school. The chairman will soon die of old age, and this secret son will take his place. He must become their new target. The chairman took everything from them. Now it's their turn. To take revenge, cold and brutal. Other than the fact that the heir is male, they know nothing else about him. Lee Dyoung blended in perfectly with the high school students. She needs to lay low. Anyone suspicious, gather intel and report. This is her mission. But she seems slightly irritated and is already making other students uneasy. Dyoung is clearly unhappy with her situation. Easier said than done. She's already intimidating people. There's definitely more than just a few male students. The girl is frustrated. How is she supposed to figure all this out? Some students walking ahead are careless and bump into Dyoung's sturdy shoulder. Her combat training is obvious. She doesn't even flinch, while the girl who bumped into her nearly stumbles. A friend immediately rushes to check on the girl, whose name is Jian, but she just glares angrily at Dyoung. Jian is furious, thinking Dyoung was rude and arrogant, and throws a few insults her way. A regular classroom scene. Students sit quietly, listening to the teacher, watching the girl at the front. The teacher introduces a new student to the class. Of course, it's Lee Dyoung on her mission. The girl scans the room and the students while the teacher continues his introduction. Dyoung sees nothing special. Many students stare at her. Some of the boys find her attractive. She walks forward calmly. The teacher announces there will be no morning assembly today and asks for quiet before the lesson. Among the classmates is Jian, who clearly still holds a grudge over the morning incident. Dyoung is texting her partner. So far, nothing unusual. She's told to be careful not to get caught texting. But suddenly, a sharp kick slams into Dyoung's desk. The attacker is none other than the familiar and clearly angry Jian. Her move seems to have angered Dyoung too. Dyoung's reaction surprises Jian. It's the kind of response that could catch anyone off guard. Insults fly at Dyoung. Jian demands an apology for the bump earlier, but the girl seems completely confused. Jian turns to her friend Kim Soo-jung, asking if her father mentioned anything about some company daughter transferring in. Kim Soo-jung seems to have heard something like that, and is surprised Jian didn't know. Jian now believes Dyoung is just a level 4 nobody, as she puts it, a total no-name. But Dyoung has no idea what these levels even mean. Jian decides to explain the system to her. At this school, there's a strict hierarchy. Your family status determines your rank. Children of presidents, lawmakers, and top conglomerates are typically at level 1 or 2. Below that are mid-level businesses, celebrity families, or newly wealthy elites, etc. The upper tiers all know each other from social events, but no one knows who Lee Dyoung is. Suddenly and sharply, a sticker with the number 4 is slapped onto Dyoung's head. Clearly, the girls wanted to humiliate the new student, asserting their higher status. The class bursts into laughter. Jiyeon was trying to explain that Dyoung, barely a level 4, had no right to even talk to someone like her, a second-level student. So if the new girl Lee Dakyung wants to stay alive, she better keep quiet and not stick her nose where it doesn't belong. Having flaunted their higher status and power, the girls walked away after mocking Dakyung, clearly thinking they had scared her. But the undercover agent didn't care at all. Everyone here was crazy. Handling this mission wouldn't be that hard. It was lunch break. A juicy steak was placed on Dakyung's tray, and she looked genuinely surprised. She was truly delighted and amazed. The food was incredible. Steak in a school cafeteria. She was practically glowing from amazement. With food this good, the mission didn't seem so bad. Beaming with joy, she acted like a kid, getting ready to cut a big piece and enjoy her meal. But she suddenly remembered her mission, snatched up her phone before she could take a bite. She was supposed to report every hour. She muttered that even a dog shouldn't be disturbed while eating. Her partner asked her not to show her temper at school. All of this really irritated Dakyung. Someone passed by, giving her a close, curious look. And there she was again, Jian, who tossed her leftovers right onto Dakyung's food. With a fake innocent expression, Jian claimed it was a mistake, clearly trying to insult and intimidate her. A quiet rage boiled inside Lee Dakyung. Why was everyone targeting her? She even considered killing someone. But her focus shifted back to the tray. Now she had 2 steaks. Maybe Jian wasn't so bad after all. While Dakyung was still stunned, Soo-jung, Ji-yeon's friend, started taking the extra food for herself, saying Ji-yeon should have given it to her instead of tossing it. This action seriously angered Dakyung. She grabbed Soo-jung's hand, trying to take the steak back. Dakyung looked more terrifying than ever. When it came to food, she turned into a beast. She ordered her to give it back. Her strong grip and piercing stare filled Soo-jung with pain and fear. Ji-yeon snatched the meat away from her. She threw it in the trash, mocking Dakyung for wanting what she called dirty steak. Dakyung silently watched the 2 juicy steaks fall, completely unaware of anything else around her. Messages from her phone poured in, urging her not to lose her temper under any circumstances. But the warnings were ignored. Dakyung grabbed Ji-yeon by the collar, leaving the girl stunned. With one swift motion, she slammed the arrogant Ji-yeon onto the table. It looked painful. The girl's proud and powerful expression disappeared. She thought she was bullying someone weak, but she was wrong. Fear took over. Dakyung held a shiny silver fork, looking like she was ready to stab it straight into Ji-yeon's throat. Ji-yeon was in a full panic. She never expected things to go this far, thinking she was untouchable. The fork was millimeters from her eye, a new wave of fear rising inside her. Nearby sat a young, handsome student who was being flirted with by a girl, though he didn't care. But then he noticed something. The loud scream for mercy that echoed through the entire cafeteria. Dakyung towered over Ji-yeon, and the guy wondered whether he should intervene. He was shocked she had gone after Ji-yeon. Only now did Lee Dakyung realize what she had done. She had let her emotions take over. She put aside the fork she was about to hurt Ji-yeon with. Without a word, Dakyung walked away, while the girl remained in shock and her friends watched her go, terrified. The girls immediately rushed to calm Ji-yeon down, but she wasn't responding, like she had lost her mind. Soo-young covered her mouth in shock. She was horrified at Ji-yeon's state, staring blankly into space. And that's the reason. The girl made a puddle out of fear. The girl was only now starting to grasp what had happened, still barely understanding anything. Lee Dakyung calmly left the room. Yeah, this wasn't the best start to her first day. She reflected on how she just couldn't shake off her habit of getting too excited over food. But something distracted her from her own thoughts. Someone was clapping. It was that guy from the cafeteria, clapping in admiration. The blonde-haired student smiled softly at her. He praised Dakyung, saying she handled Ji-yeon in an impressive way, that it was cool. But Dakyung still looked confused, studying the handsome student carefully. The guy offered his friendship and asked for her name, glowing like sunlight as he spoke. Dakyung looked even more confused. Why was he being so nice to her? Then she remembered her partner's advice to gather intel on any suspicious male students. Dakyung finally replied, saying she transferred just today. The guy's name was Han Jong-un. With a soft smile, he handed her his phone, asking her to give him her number. Clearly, Jong-un is not just a random student, since many others were watching their conversation closely. Many were curious why Han Jong-un started talking to the new girl. They wondered what her status was if he took notice of her. Dakyung quickly tapped her number into the guy's phone. He was, after all, the only one acting like a friend. She was glad the target of her investigation approached first, but she was surprised by how many people were watching. She handed his phone back with her number while the guy kept smiling. Dyoung realized it was time to step away. But surprisingly, the guy was very persistent, offering to walk with her to a convenience store since she hadn't eaten. She tried to brush him off. Being seen with him brought too much attention when she needed to stay in the shadows. He kept insisting, saying they might as well go for a walk, since there was nothing else to do. But Dyoung was firm and kept trying to walk away from Jong-un. He wouldn't give up, now offering to show her around the beautiful spots of the school. No matter how hard she tried to shake him off, he kept up, now suggesting a school tour. That gentle, non-arrogant smile of his didn't fade. It was probably his secret weapon of persuasion. It was really starting to irritate Dyoung. He was too kind, too pushy, and that raised suspicion. Eventually, she just ran off. Clearly, that was the best move at this point. She stopped to catch her breath, hoping he wasn't following, until she heard her name called behind her. Dyoung hid in the girl's bathroom and called her partner. He was surprised she already had an admirer. She told him the guy's name, Han Jong-un, and advised him to look into him. The guy searched his database on his laptop for any information about the student. Unfortunately, he couldn't access any personal records, likely due to strong protection for all students. She told him to do something about it. Was he a hacker or a loser? Her words clearly annoyed him. Even hackers have limits. Now Dyoung herself was getting worried. Her partner suggested she get closer to Jong-un and dig out the info herself. But she had no idea how to befriend someone like him. Still, her partner seemed to have a step-by-step plan. He was clearly more experienced in romantic manipulation and had some tricks up his sleeve. First, after school, she should casually ask to walk home together, chat, and learn more. Then, mention being hungry and suggest grabbing something teens like. Maybe tteokbokki. After that, head to a cute cafe and take a few Instagram-worthy pictures together. Going straight home would be boring, so they should swing by a karaoke bar. Dyoung clearly hated this idea. And once it got dark, she should hint that she doesn't want to go home just yet. Her partner then got to the main part, acting like he had waited for this moment his whole life. He said she should suggest eating ramen together, which in Korea is a coded invitation for intimacy. Dyoung had no idea what he was even saying. She doubted this whole plan, but he insisted. He also advised her to make friends with some of the girls at school to gather more intel. He reminded her not to forget the ramyeon suggestion, but Dyoung already hung up on him. She was completely lost now and regretted calling him for advice in the first place. Nervously, she looked around. Was Jong-un still following her? That would be insane. Looking again, she confirmed. He wasn't there. A bit strange, actually. She began wondering. The Lee family name wasn't uncommon in Korea, so why was his such a secret? Then Jian appeared, looking tense and upset, angrily demanding something from someone. Two tall guys looked at her with contempt. One held a phone and stared at her coldly. The other smoked calmly nearby. The guy with the phone asked in a chilling tone who she thought she was to demand his phone back. Apparently, he had photos of Jian she was ashamed of, ones she didn't want exposed. The pictures were from the cafeteria, when she got so scared she lost control. The guy was about to post them online. Dyoung watched the whole conflict unfold from around the corner, drawn by the shouting. She remembered her partner's tip, to befriend a girl, but she just felt lazy about it. Jian tried threatening the guy, but he wasn't intimidated. She wasn't powerful enough to ruin him. Maybe she could ignore the guy in front of her, but not Jae-hyung, the real threat sitting on a nearby bench. Jae-hyung, a well-built student, was there. His family was supported by the other boys' families. And Jae-hyung's parents wouldn't let this go. Now Ji-yeon was out of moves, and even started trembling. Tears welled in her eyes. The guys were enjoying watching the Queen Ji-yeon fall apart. One of them wanted to post the photos on Facebook. Ji-yeon panicked, desperate to stop the humiliation. Just then, Lee Da-kyung intervened, gripping the boy's wrist, the phone still in his hand. He definitely didn't expect that. Even Ji-yeon herself was shocked. The girl who humiliated her had now stood up for her. The guy was stunned and begged to be let go. Da-kyung turned to Ji-yeon and calmly asked what exactly was on the guy's phone. Ji-yeon hesitated, stammering as she admitted there were pictures from the cafeteria, and the student planned to upload them to Facebook. Even Da-kyung looked genuinely surprised. She hadn't known Ji-yeon had lost control of herself in the cafeteria. The guy grew tense. The two girls were completely ignoring him. He even started threatening them with death. He warned he would hit them, raising his hand but Dyoung effortlessly snatched the phone out of his hand in one swift move. Dyoung handed the phone to a bewildered Jian, telling her to delete all the photos immediately. She also told her to check for cloud backups. The guy was in so much shock he could barely mumble, his hands still trembling from her grip. But he didn't back down. He swung his arm, clearly aiming a strong punch right at Dyoung. Without flinching, Dyoung dodged the punch with ease, her training kicking in. Now it was her turn. She grabbed the shocked guy by the chin, ready to strike. And she did, so hard that one of his teeth flew out. She might look delicate, but she packed real strength. Everyone stood in stunned silence, except Dyoung, who didn't even blink. The guy's friends stared at the ground in horror, as did Jian. The attacker lay knocked out cold on the hard pavement. He definitely wouldn't forget this anytime soon. Dyoung finally handed Jian the phone with the humiliating photos. A terrified guy nearby was watching it all unfold. That guy was clearly not expecting this outcome. His face betrayed a swirl of emotions. Realizing the hopelessness of the situation, he tried to wake up Jae-hyung, who reluctantly pulled down his sleep mask. He was informed that Wanjun had been knocked out and now lay unconscious. Jae-hyung only asked, "Who did it?" The guy pointed at Dyoung and Jian, who were now walking away hand in hand. Jae-hyung watched them go, recalling the name Lee Da-kyung, and guessed she must be the new student. He could barely believe what his friend said. Wanjun beaten by some random girl? Meanwhile, Dyoung and Jian sat on a stairwell. Dyoung finally dug into her food, starving from earlier, while Jian just stared. Dyoung offered her some food. The girl refused, citing her diet, and Dyoung asked if she could eat it all. Then, Jian watched Dyoung, thinking, who was this girl? Whose daughter was she? So many questions, so few answers. Fearless enough to fight, what kind of family raised someone like her? Jian even wondered if the girl might be from level 1. Dyoung then decided to apologize for their morning encounter. She hadn't realized she bumped into someone. At the time, her mind was elsewhere, but now definitely wasn't the time to reveal what she had been thinking. Jian, feeling guilty, apologized in return, admitting she had gone too far earlier. Even Dyoung noticed. Apologizing clearly didn't come easy to Jian. It was odd to see. Remembering her mission, Dyoung decided to ask the girl about Han Jong-un. Jian knew of him, but was curious why Dyoung wanted to know. Dyoung lied, saying she was just curious. That's when Jian started forming her own theory. Maybe Dyoung had a crush on him? It was shocking to imagine. But Dyoung didn't like that assumption. She crushed her juice box in her grip in irritation. Jian commented that Han Jong-un always smiled sincerely, but even he seemed a little strange. Jian admitted she found him a bit scary, and Dyoung asked why. She began to recall the past, the day she enrolled. Seniors came to check out the new students. Jian asked if Dyoung knew Foreign Minister Woo Kwang-sik. His son approached one of the idols that day. At that moment, Han Jong-un stepped in front of him, tall and staring straight at him. Minister's son was an older student from level 1, and he glared at Jong-un, telling him to step aside. Jong-un, as always, just smiled sincerely and politely apologized to the minister's son. But that still enraged him. Jong-un had spoken informally, without honorifics. That guy held a grudge, and Han Jong-un had clearly drawn his ire. The senior's furious glare followed him. Nobody knew much about Jong-un, so they assumed he was a 4th-level student, which made his informal behavior even more insulting. From that day, Jong-un's school life turned very difficult, likely due to that senior. It got violent. During gym class, someone kicked a ball directly into the guy's head as he stretched. People bullied him relentlessly. A hard-hit ball flew into the back of the guy's head while everyone was laughing. Despite this, he always smiled and endured everything. That day, he even picked up the ball and politely returned it. But one day in art class, that senior dumped mop water over Jong-un's head. Usually he'd smile through it, but that day something was off. The air felt heavy, everyone sensed something was about to happen. Yet against all expectations, Jong-un let it go again. But the very next day, that senior mysteriously disappeared. At this point in the story, even Dyoung tensed up. He just vanished like that? Jian confirmed, completely without a trace. No one had heard anything about him since. Strange, considering he was the son of Korea's foreign minister. That's why many believed someone very powerful was backing Han Jong-un. Dyoung listened intently. Now even Dyoung began to wonder. Who really is Han Jong-un? He clearly wasn't ordinary. Laughing, Jian mentioned there were even rumors that Han Jong-un might have killed the minister's son. But their talk was interrupted. And there he was, the main character himself, appearing suddenly and sarcastically asking, "Do I look like a killer?" His bright smile remained intact as he joked about people's overactive imagination, since such things were being said about him. The girls were stunned. He had approached them so silently and stealthily. It was a bit unnerving. Dyoung was frozen. How did Jong-un get here? Where did he come from? So many questions. But she didn't lose her composure. She grabbed his arm and pulled him aside. Now he was the one confused. Her mind flooded with questions. When did he start listening, and what's his deal? He asked where they were going, while Jian watched in confused silence. Dyoung pressed him against the wall, though honestly it should have been the other way around. He was shocked. She asked the mysterious boy, based on everything she'd heard, why he was following her. He smiled again, radiating warmth, and said he'd just found Dyoung interesting. She covered her face, completely confused. Why was he so sweet and harmless? She decided to follow her partner's plan and invited him out after school, the word ramen still ringing in her head. She boldly asked if he liked her, and as always, he listened with a smile. Without hesitation, he said yes, still smiling from ear to ear. Really? That simple and honest reply genuinely shocked her. She could hardly believe it. Maybe this was her moment. Maybe things were simpler than she thought. She tried to say something else, but it felt like her throat had closed up and no words came out. She hesitated, with only one word circling on her tongue. Ramyun. But was it really okay to say that? She finally said ramyun, and the guy, slightly surprised, asked if she just wanted to eat noodles. Clearly, she wasn't skilled at this. She awkwardly suggested ramyun with a super weird expression. Only now did the smile fade from his face, replaced with total confusion at her behavior. She asked again, this time more firmly, if they could eat ramyun together. The guy was taken aback. A sudden proposal like that? Where? At his place? She quickly and confidently said yes, but immediately regretted the absurd thing she'd just said. The tension broke as the boy burst into laughter, entertained by her awkwardness. He confirmed once again Dyoung was hilarious and agreed to go with her after school. He even offered to cook the ramen himself, leaving Dyoung genuinely stunned that her plan was working. Thus ended her first day at school, which had been far more intense than expected. Students were reminded to get home safely. Waiting for her at the classroom door was Han Jong-un, as always beaming with a radiant smile. He asked for confirmation. So are we still going? They left the school together, drawing lots of attention. Dyoung glanced at her phone nervously. Jong-un asked again, Jian, why the sudden ramyun? Wasn't she trying to avoid him earlier? She waved him off, saying she just reconsidered and wanted to be friends. Her lie was painfully obvious. Then she remembered something important. Were Jong-un's parents home right now? Another question followed. Was it really okay for her to just come over like that? He said it was fine. Turns out he lived alone, and he gave his usual sincere smile. That information threw Dyoung off. She hadn't expected that. No wonder he didn't even have a school bag. Now the guy asked her a question. Wasn't it strange to go to a guy's house she just met? Once again, Dyoung didn't know how to answer. Jong-un pointed out that being so carefree might be dangerous. But she had a lot of experience and didn't feel any danger. Not from him. Soon they arrived at Han Jong-un's house, where he politely opened the door. Dyoung immediately began scanning her surroundings. It was a modest but clean and tidy apartment. Dyoung, the spy, wondered if she could find any useful info here. Like a true gentleman, Jong-un asked if she wanted something to drink, offering coffee, water, or aloe juice. Her eyes lit up the moment she heard aloe juice, and Jong-un knew exactly what to pour her. He handed her a mug with the juice, and as he went to cook, he invited her to look around the house freely. Without much hesitation, the girl spotted a computer and quickly plugged in her data flash drive. Someone definitely lives here. Not a speck of dust in sight. The house was quite modest compared to the rumors. Dyoung noticed a photo album under the table. Maybe it held some of the information she needed. A childhood photo of Han Jong-un. He's sitting on a couch, deeply focused on what looked like a fascinating book. Another shot, standing by the door in a formal suit, a bit too large for the small boy. In this one, he's walking along a beautiful seaside shore, scattered with rocks of various shapes and sizes. She noticed that he hadn't changed much since those photos. But why the same stone-cold expression in every picture? Same face, yes. But why weren't there any family photos in the whole album? Her thoughts were interrupted by the guy's voice, making her flinch. She genuinely panicked, thinking she'd been caught spying, but Jong-un just asked if she wanted an egg in her ramyun. Dyoung told him to add 2, which made the boy chuckle, but he complied. She also asked for more juice, to which he replied, "Check the fridge." As she turned quickly, she accidentally knocked over the pot of nearly finished ramyun. The boiling broth spilled directly on the guy, and it looked painfully severe. The pot lay spilled on the floor as Jong-un groaned in pain, begging her to help him get out of his clothes. Dyoung was panicked but acted quickly, rinsing the burn with cold water and applying ice. She apologized, but he didn't hold it against her. She sank into thought again. It was only the first day undercover, and already so much had happened. She noted how slim and trim he looked in clothes, but his defined abs revealed he took care of himself. Jong-un caught her staring and joked that she seemed to be inspecting him rather thoroughly, which flustered her. His words left her speechless, and she blushed like a tomato from embarrassment. Flustered, she scolded him to just get changed, now sitting and moping over the ruined ramyun. When he returned, she called him over and carefully dressed the burned area. Luckily, it didn't look too serious, likely a first-degree burn, so it wasn't critical. Still, the affected area was quite large. She told him he should probably see a doctor tomorrow, but she didn't finish that thought. Jong-un was staring at her intently. He recalled her fight with Wanjun, amazed at how skillfully she treated his burn, joking she was like a spy from an action movie. Hearing this, the girl ties the bandage tightly, bringing the guy in pain. He was right. She was sent here as an agent, and it was time to get back to business. She told him to sit. The interrogation was about to begin. He had to answer only with the truth. First question: since when and why did he live alone, even though he was still a student? He felt like the genre had shifted, and awkwardly mumbled that he just chose to live this way. Why? She pressed. Bad family relations? Parents too busy? He hesitated. She asked if Jian was right about him. Jong-un tried to steer things back to normal, wanting to end the interrogation by appealing to Dyoung. "Did you really come here just to interrogate me?" he asked, and finally, that snapped her out of it. Dyoung returned to her usual self and apologized, but Jong-un wasn't upset. He was just surprised by the number of questions. He hadn't realized he was so interesting to her. Now it was his turn. His first question was where Dyoung had transferred from, but she was ready for that, replying she was from a school on the outskirts of Seoul. Why transfer? She said they had just moved houses. He guessed her parents must be influential, since this school was hard to get into. That topic, parents, was uncomfortable, and she wanted to avoid it at all costs. She didn't even react when the others tried to assert dominance, he noted. Her parents must be good people. He was clearly curious about who they were, but Dyoung hesitated, unsure what to say. Flashes of memory surfaced, a hand with long nails stroking her hair. She insisted they were kind. A small Dyoung stood blankly, watching a woman who seemed to be hugging her. The memory showed a disturbing woman saying she was glad to have Dyoung. The topic of her family was clearly disturbing, and she began to tremble with unease. That was enough for Jong-un, but Dyoung said she should head home now. The guy looked a bit disappointed at her sudden departure. It felt too soon. But her mission was done. She had retrieved the flash drive, and there didn't seem to be anything else worth investigating. As she was leaving, Jong-un stopped her, asking if she knew what "let's eat ramyun together" really meant. She looked at him confused, wondering what that innocent phrase actually implied. He suspected as much, then asked again, "Who taught you to say something like that?" Dyoung visibly tensed. Her eyes were wide with confusion and shock. Learning the true meaning of that phrase, she blushed fiercely with shame and embarrassment. She should have listened to her partner. Jong-un didn't know who taught her that line, but he was clearly a jokester. She stood dazed, processing the revelation. She remembered the call and her partner's words, and felt a sudden urge to kill him for that. The guy offered her to stay a bit longer, but Dyoung insisted on leaving immediately. She told him she needed to reply to someone, while Jong-un looked at her suspiciously. She went into the restroom and immediately answered her partner's call, warning him not to disturb her again. She was inside the guy's house. Instead of a reply, she heard only dead silence. It felt very eerie. Suddenly, the silence shattered with a terrifying scream through the phone. Dyoung was filled with horror and confusion. She burst out of the bathroom like a bullet, rushing to help her partner. Jong-un was stunned by her urgency. He tried to ask what was wrong, but she brushed him off. She raced out of his house, leaving him alone and stunned as he watched the door. She sprinted toward her partner, pushing herself to reach the destination faster. Her mind whirlpooled with thoughts. Who could have attacked him? No one should have known about them. At last, she reached the office and burst in to rescue him and find answers. She called out her partner, Jo Tae-woong, hoping to hear his voice instead of the attackers. The office was destroyed and stained with blood. A brutal fight had just happened. Tae-woong sat slumped at the table. He was covered in blood. His eyes shut, she couldn't tell if he was unconscious or worse. Just as she rushed forward, a new attacker swung a bat at her from behind. The blow nearly caught her. It seemed her time was up. But she sensed danger in time and turned sharply, locking eyes with her attacker. She blocked the bat with her arm, her training held strong. The pain was intense, but she asked the man, "Who are you?" He snarled and bared his teeth without replying while she kicked his weapon away. Then she landed a precise, powerful blow to his face, causing waves of impact to ripple. The strike was so powerful that he flew a meter back, losing his weapon. Fury and adrenaline fueled her. She was now ready to fight for her partner and justice. She was stunned they'd been found so quickly, and immediately suspected Chairman Lee was involved. Before she could react, the attacker grabbed a kitchen knife and lunged at her. He managed to slash her, then tried to escape. In rage, she ordered him to stop. She demanded answers and revenge. But she also thought of Tae-woong, possibly still alive. She hadn't checked yet. Dawn broke. Tae-woong woke up in a clean hospital bed, free from blood and pain. Dyoung sat by his side, waiting anxiously for him to wake. She asked if he was awake. As a loyal comrade, his concern went to her. Her hand was bleeding from the knife wound. She told him not to move. She asked about what happened, surprised only one man could take Tae-woong down. He remembered Dyoung snooping on his computer, thinking their data was the target. But if so, why didn't the attacker kill Tae-woong? Too many questions remained. Oddly, the man acted alone. Dyoung told him to focus on finding a new office and cleaning up evidence. Then she recalled the flash drive from Jong-un's computer, which she'd passed to Tae-woong to analyze. Tae-woong asked about Han Jong-un's situation, but Dyoung slapped him across his wound, furious. Observing all this was the shocked nurse who'd entered to check on the patient. The nurse kicked Dyoung out, insisting she couldn't stay with an injured patient. Night fell. Moonlight bathed the hospital and streets in cold radiance. Dyoung went to meet an unknown person on a rooftop overlooking the city at night. Her thoughts drifted, snatches of memory returned, including a woman's shadowy face. That woman smoking. Asked Dyoung why she was so fearful. Once again, Dyoung is lost in her thoughts and memories. In the distant corners of her mind, the image of a woman flashes. The woman, smoking a cigarette, addresses Dyoung, asking the reason behind her fears and anxiety. She simply suggests Dyoung take things easier. Even the agent herself seems a bit confused. The clearly older woman from the girl's memories praises her, saying she's doing a good job. The woman turns out to be Dyoung's now-deceased boss. The girl believes this is exactly what she would have said in this moment. The meeting finally happens. A guy watching the city and smoking a cigarette notices the girl. He seems quite handsome, with a well-toned body and facial features and deep blue eyes like the ocean. Apparently, this meeting wasn't supposed to happen. Dyoung decides to leave, feeling she's wasted her time and should have cleaned up the office instead. But the guy suddenly calls her by name. Dyoung freezes. She doesn't recognize him, but he clearly knows her. She turns around in surprise, trying to figure out who this is and how he knows her name. Sensing danger, she tries to identify him and instinctively reaches for a weapon. The guy turns out to be Jae-hyung. He recognized her because she beat up Wanjun. But the girl has no idea who he's talking about. She never got the name of the guy she punched. And now, Wanjun and his buddy appear on the rooftop. The injured guy is already imagining how to get revenge on Dyoung. The guys recognize her and fall into stunned confusion, trying to figure out their next move. Wanjun had to go to the hospital because of her. Realizing who she is, Wanjun is filled with rage, thirsting for revenge for his injuries. He lunges at her, raising his hand to finally land a proper hit. But Jae-hyung stops his punch, easy for someone in good shape. Wanjun is shocked by his friend's actions. Why did he stop him from getting revenge? More threats are thrown at the girl. She's lucky Jae-hyung stepped in this time, but next time he swears he'll kill her. He slams the door and storms off the rooftop, not even finishing his cigarette, leaving Jae-hyung and Dyoung alone. Dyoung asks the influential Jae-hyung why he stopped his friend. While leaving, Jae-hyung says he despises people who rise on the back of their powerful parents. But he also advises Dyoung not to rely too much on her fighting skills. Better to keep a low profile. She just got lucky this time. Suddenly, the girl blocks his path and snatches the cigarette from his hand. She throws it away and sarcastically thanks him for the helpful advice. Now it's her turn. She asks the guy for his name since she never got the chance to learn it earlier. He introduces himself as Lee Jae-hyung. He's surprised at how fast she was to grab the cigarette. She notes his last name. Even though Lee is common in Korea, she makes a mental note to stay cautious. She turns to leave, telling him to smoke when he grows up. He's still just a high schooler. She slams the door behind her, walking away and leaving a confused Jae-hyung behind. He's stunned she called him a high schooler, when she's also just a student herself. He replays her image and face in his mind, getting more and more curious. Morning arrives. The early sunlight lights up the still sleeping school for elites. The teacher explains a new topic, but none of the students seem to care. The teacher announces the end of class and praises the students. Dyoung is sleeping in the back row. A voice calls her name, Dyoung, trying to wake her from her deep sleep. She's annoyed at first, but it turns out to be Jong-un wearing his usual bright smile. Worried about her, he asks how she got home after their little hangout. Still groggy, she gives a short answer. He mentions texting her last night. She'd forgotten, but then remembers they exchanged numbers. Sleepy Dyoung rummages around, trying to find her phone to read Jong-un's messages. But she's interrupted when he suddenly grabs her wrist. Such an abrupt move from someone usually so sweet and gentle really catches her off guard. It's the arm where she was cut during yesterday's fight. She asks him to let go because it hurts. He yanks up her sleeve and sees the bandage, and her badly bruised arm. Dyoung is stunned by Jong-un's unexpected reaction. Her mind fills with confusion. His face changes instantly. His smile vanishes, and a cold, frightening stare locks onto her. He demands to know who did this. His intense concern alarms her. He suddenly seems more like a maniac than the sweet boy from before. Cold gaze, no emotion. Only one question leaves his lips. Who did this to you? She manages to come up with an excuse, but he doesn't believe it. It's the classic I fell down the stairs story. She confirms her lie, but she's confused why he's so angry about her injury. Jong-un sees right through her. He says she's terrible at lying. It hits her hard. He's spot on. The girl tries to avoid the conversation by saying she has to get to class, but the guy sees right through it. He saw her sleeping at her desk earlier. She starts boiling with anger. Is Jong-un acting like her father? Why is he so upset? But their tense conversation is interrupted by a phone ringing from across the room on the nightstand. The girl is surprised. Why is her phone over there? And Jong-un is already walking toward it. He's about to pick it up, and only now does Dyoung realize what he's doing. He even reads the caller's name. It's her partner, Jo Tae-woong, trying to reach her. As soon as Jong-un picks up the phone and says the name, Dyoung grabs his hand, not wanting him to touch it. Her strange action leaves Jong-un confused, and her emotions make him even more puzzled. Dyoung politely asks him to loosen his grip and give her the phone. Her partner is calling. But he refuses to hand it over that easily, trying to pull his arm free from her strong grip. The girl's behavior is starting to really stress him out. He clearly sees fear and tension in her eyes. Now he wants to know who Tae-woong is and why he's calling her. Could he be the criminal who hurt her? Jong-un says it with his usual smile. He refuses to give her the phone until he gets an honest answer. Dyoung quickly lies that he's her bodyguard. But Jong-un instantly sees through the lie. His cleverness and sharp mind infuriate Dyoung. She aggressively and desperately tries to snatch the phone back from him. Why does he even care? His height plays against her. She can't even reach her own phone. She finally manages to grab it and begs him to stop acting like a child. She feels the sweet taste of victory as she clutches the phone, but something feels off. And here's what's off. Their little struggle is interrupted by Jae-hyung, who walks into the classroom looking for his teacher. He clearly walked in at the wrong time, witnessing a rather compromising scene if you don't know the context. Dyoung realizes how it must look from Jae-hyung's perspective. Even in this awkward moment, Jong-un jokes that she could have bent down even lower, only making her angrier. She quickly gets off of Jong-un, having finally retrieved her phone. Jae-hyun addresses her by name. Jong-un is surprised that they know each other. The girl explains they just met yesterday while she was checking if her phone screen was intact. The part about yesterday seems to hit Jong-un, but Dyoung tells him to just forget it. Jae-hyung says he doesn't make a habit of taking things that aren't his. A jab at Jong-un. He came to get painkillers. While drinking water and taking the medicine, he says he's tired of it all, but doesn't clarify what exactly. Jong-un is curious about the tired of what comment and tries to get more out of him. Jae-hyung's tired of Jong-un's messy relationships and the fact he's trying to drag the new girl into it too. It finally clicks for Jong-un, and he cheekily asks if Jae-hyun is jealous. That ticks Jae-hyun off. He thinks Jae-hyung has completely lost it to say something so stupid. Da-kyung watches the entire scene in confusion. It's weird but undeniably intriguing. Jong-un comments that sarcastic remarks are rare from Jae-hyung, guessing he just likes sticking his nose in other people's business. Not wanting to be part of their silent argument, Da-kyung seizes the chance and slips away. Right now, all she wants is to eat. This mess has drained all her energy. Familiar face Hwan Ji-yeon turns to her chubby friend Kim Soo-jung, asking if she wants to go to the restroom. But Soo-jung politely declines, saying the teacher called her and suggesting they go later. Ji-yeon then asks another classmate to go shopping after school, but she declines too. Stretching after the fourth class, Ji-yeon asks her friends if they're going to lunch. But they again try to avoid her. One says she's on a diet, and Soo-jung mumbles something. Soo-young eventually says her stomach hurts, clearly trying to escape. Ji-yeon quickly realizes something's wrong. Her friends clearly don't even want to be near her. She has to walk the school halls alone now. It's clear that people have been talking about her. She panics. It must be because of what happened yesterday. Her so-called friends are avoiding her. Her arrogance resurfaces. Her friends should feel honored she even talks to them, being third-level nobodies. With trembling hands, she pulls out her phone, deciding to reach out to her father for help. She remembers how her dad once tearfully talked about the company's problems. He loves his daughter dearly. She recalls him asking her to reduce her shopping budget to just 30 million won for now. Yeon starts to suspect people have found out about her father's company troubles. That's why they're acting like this. She finally arrives at the cafeteria, but realizes someone like her can't possibly eat alone. But then she spots a familiar face, Lee Da-kyung sitting at one of the tables, enjoying her meal. Ji-yeon assumes that if Da-kyung is doing fine after what she did to Wanjun yesterday, she must be second level. Weighing the pros and cons, Ji-yeon decides to sit next to the very person who insulted her, and also saved her. Da-kyung is clearly surprised by this unexpected turn of events as she quietly eats her lunch. Da-kyung asks Ji-yeon about her friends and where they are. The question seems to sting. Ji-yeon answers coldly and confidently that those people are no longer her friends, not after today. Yesterday's incident and her father's company problems are starting to show. Everyone is avoiding her now. Ji-yeon once again blames Da-kyung, saying she should take responsibility. But Da-kyung is just confused. She doesn't want any responsibility, but Ji-yeon plays her trump card and bursts into tears. And it seems to work. Ji-yeon begins to tell a tragic, tearful story while Da-kyung can't tell if she's eating lunch or snot. Now Ji-yeon asks Da-kyung to go hang out after class. She'll have to agree just to stop her from crying again. Da-kyung tries to decline, but Ji-yeon starts sobbing again. After all, the girl promised to take responsibility. Da-kyung is on the verge of losing it. They absolutely must go out today, so Ji-yeon can post Instagram pics proving she's fine without her ex-friends. Da-kyung tries to find something useful in this walk, and maybe she can ask Ji-yeon about the boys. The girl finally agrees, and after school, they wander together through the lively, buzzing city. Ji-yeon is glowing with happiness. A huge, tall building reflects the gentle, warm sunlight off its glass facade. That's where Ji-yeon wants to go, but Da-kyung clearly isn't thrilled. This place just doesn't suit her. Inside the mall, Ji-yeon is in her element, happily trying on outfits. She asks her new friend for opinions, but Da-kyung clearly isn't a fan of shopping. It's already been 3 hours. Ji-yeon is shocked that Da-kyung is already tired, especially since she looks much stronger. She begins to form a new theory or question about Da-kyung's strange exhaustion. Da-kyung can barely think straight, but decides to at least hear her out. Now the girl tries on a new outfit herself, and Ji-yeon is absolutely amazed by how she looks. But Da-kyung doesn't share the enthusiasm. She's struggling in high heels, and Ji-yeon wants her to keep wearing them. The store clerk announces the grand total, 9 million won. Ji-yeon looks unfazed, which stuns Da-kyung. Even stranger, the girl pays for the clothes herself. Da-kyung is shocked by the generosity, but Ji-yeon just says she wanted to do it. It's a gift to remember the day, a small one. Da-kyung is speechless. Ji-yeon now suggests they go have dinner together, but the girl is still reeling from what small gift means to her. Pasta twirled with creamy shrimp and herb sauce rests beside juicy, perfectly grilled steak slices. Da-kyung is loving the food, and the very idea of enjoying a delicious meal. She feels full and happy. But she's distracted by the odd stare Ji-yeon is giving her, clearly about to ask something. Jian asks if Dyoung is actually from level 1. She wants to know the truth. Dyoung denies it, but Jian isn't convinced. Wanjun isn't the kind to back off. How did the girl handle him? Dyoung has already forgotten about Wanjun. She didn't even know he was the heir to the Wanjun conglomerate. The company isn't very old, founded about 20 years ago. It's recently risen to power and become a hot topic. Wanjun is out as a candidate for the chairman's heir, Jian says. And Dyoung doesn't seem to know anything about him. Another grand theory, maybe Dyoung is from a top-tier international corporation. The girl denies it again and finally tells the truth. It was Lee Jae-hyung who handled Wanjun. But that name sets Ji-yeon off. She practically screams, startling Dyoung. Her eyes shine with excitement. Jae-hyung must be someone important in the school. Nobody knows much about Jae-hyung, but even first-level students are wary of him. They say he's number 1 of the first level. Ji-yeon is ecstatic that someone like him protected Dyoung, while the girl herself starts to think, maybe she should investigate him. But Ji-yeon interrupts her thoughts, asking if Dyoung might be interested in Jae-hyung. Dyoung, annoyed again, drags the glowing Ji-yeon out of the restaurant. They leave the shopping mall under the night sky. Ji-yeon promises to keep everything a secret. Outside, a personal driver and bodyguard from the Hwang family are already waiting. Ji-yeon offers Dyoung a ride, but she declines. Ji-yeon hands over the gift bag and assumes the girl has her own driver. It's time to say goodbye. She drives off, and Dyoung is finally alone, finally able to breathe again. She nearly collapses on a bench, totally exhausted. The day was long, but definitely not meaningless. Jong-un is out of the picture. No need to gather intel. Now the new target is Jae-hyung. She finally takes off the heels that tore her feet up. How do others wear them? That's enough for today. Now she needs to figure out how to get to the office with these aching feet. The girl's thoughts are interrupted by a stranger who kindly hands her something. The stranger turns out to be Lee Jae-hyung. They exchange a long look. Dyoung is visibly surprised. The guy says he just happened to see her by chance. His sharp gaze is fixed directly on her. He offers her a Band-Aid and asks the puzzled Dyoung to accept this thoughtful little gift. It's useful in her current state. She applies the Band-Aid to the sore spots left by the heels, ones so kindly given by Lee Jae-hyung. The Band-Aid have cute animals printed on them, not something you'd expect from someone like him. She turns to return them to him, but he's already gone, as if he vanished into thin air. He calmly walks away. So, not even bothering to say goodbye. But Dyoung quickly catches up, grabbing the sleeve of his expensive, elegant jacket. Still holding the Band-Aid, she stops him. He simply turns to face the tired girl. She insists on returning the Band-Aid. It's why she chased after him in the first place. He just stares at her silently, his sea-blue eyes empty and unreadable. He tells her to leave. He doesn't need the Band-Aid back. Dyoung is taken aback. But she won't let him leave just yet. She steps in front of him, asking him to wait. She tries to say something but can't quite find the right words. He listens anyway. After hesitating, she finally says she's thankful and would like to treat him to a cup of coffee. Dyoung smiles sweetly, trying to appear gentle and soft, but she knows that's not really her style. He's not ordinary, she thinks. Maybe this will work, but it definitely wouldn't on a regular guy. He hesitates, but eventually agrees. He's curious and wants to check something. He confidently walks ahead, surprising Dyoung. She thought they were heading to a cafe, so she follows. The girl is still surprised. Maybe she really can be charming and persuasive. They arrive at a cafe. A server brings them their order, coffee and dessert. Dyoung immediately digs into the dessert, surprising both the waitress and Jae-hyung. She's clearly loving it. She thinks the waffle croissant hybrid is unrealistically good. Her wild appetite and slightly feral behavior leave Jae-hyung sipping his coffee in silent amazement. But she almost forgets her mission. She needs to extract some information. A casual question. Does he come around here often? The guy peacefully gazes out the window, but he ignores her question, saying nothing and continuing to look outside. His behavior irritates her. This isn't going to work, everything's falling apart. Then he changes the mood completely. He asks, "Who sent you, Dyoung?" Jae-hyung isn't as simple as he seems. His words bring both surprise and fear into Dyoung's mind. No school transfer record, unknown personal data, suspicious martial arts skills. She didn't hide it all very well. He wants answers, and Dyoung better give them before he blows this up further. She's terrified. He's not what she expected. She figured someone would suspect her, but not this fast. Now the question is, how much does he know? Her hand inches toward her hidden knife, but no, she must stay calm. If he knew for sure, he wouldn't be acting so casually. Maybe it's all just a bluff. She throws a rhetorical question. Does he really think she's a spy? She explains she learned martial arts for self-defense. It's been her hobby since childhood. As for the hidden data, didn't Jae-hyung do the exact same thing? No one knows anything about him either. In fact, she could prove her identity completely. She just won't unless she knows it's safe to do so. She only just transferred here. It's hard to trust anyone, but he's been here 2 years. So why does he hide his identity so thoroughly? Is there a reason? But Jae-hyung cuts her off. Calmly sipping his coffee, he shuts down the conversation. That drives Dyoung crazy. He clearly doesn't want to talk about himself. How dare he end the talk? He's clearly dug into her background. That's why he agreed to this coffee in the first place. Being suspicious is normal. It's actually the most reasonable reaction. Come to think of it, Han Jong-un is the opposite. Way too friendly. That's also suspicious in its own way. Jae-hyung throws us in another bombshell. He assumes Dyoung is dating Han Jong-un, based on what he saw today. That floors Dyoung. What kind of nonsense is Lee Jae-hyung even talking about? It's a logical guess, sure, but it infuriates her. She tells him to forget about it. Jae-hyung simply stands up and suggests they leave, completely catching her off guard. She gets up too. The mission, a complete failure. She didn't get a single useful piece of information. She doesn't even have time to think about getting a second chance at gathering intel. Her high heels betray her, and she begins to fall. But before she hits the hard ground, Jae-hyung grabs her arm, clearly not wanting her to get hurt. Now horizontal, Dyoung gets a clear look at the floor. Thankfully, she didn't get any closer to it. She thanks the guy for, let's say, saving her, but it seems like he wants to say or ask something. With a heavy sigh, he asks her to hold onto his hand properly. She could still fall again by accident. From the side, they look like a real couple. Dyoung clings tightly to Jae-hyung's strong hand. Her heels are infuriating her. She can't let go the guy's hand, and maybe going barefoot is the only option now. She suddenly turns around, seemingly seeing or hearing something. Jae-hyung is surprised by her sharp movement. He asks what made her turn like that, but she brushes it off, unwilling or unsure how to explain. Dyoung asks if he's with bodyguards right now, only to get the same question in return. She insists she doesn't need protection. Again, he answers the same way, but their conversation is cut off by a strange sound. A creak. A white, snow-colored car pulls up. It's Tae-woong, bringing a mix of emotions to the duo. He asks if this is a date. He clearly doesn't enjoy this errand. Nearly killed yesterday, and now Dyoung calls the sick guy to act as her driver. Jae-hyung silently listens to their petty bickering. Tae-woong can barely get words out while Dyoung just scolds him. Jae-hyung silently listens to their petty bickering. Tae-woong can barely get words out while Dyoung just scolds him. Tae-woong immediately asks about her dress, and she curtly tells him to focus on the road. Confused, Tae-woong mistakes the guy earlier for Han Jong-un. He thought he was handsome, but Dyoung quickly corrects him. She says she'll answer his questions later, but now insists he drives slowly. This surprises him. The reason? She suspects someone was tailing her. Tae-woong immediately guesses it could have been Jae-hyung's guards, but even the girl isn't sure. But Jae-hyung said he wasn't with security. Either way, enough spy games for today. Time for a break. Meanwhile, Jae-hyung is still standing there, not going anywhere. It's like he's waiting for someone. He pulls out a pack of Marlboro cigarettes, craving that burning taste of tobacco. He lifts the deadly stick to his lips, but realizes he forgot a lighter. Or not. Someone steps up and lights it for him. Specifically for him. Nicotine rushes into his veins. Within a second, his guards surround him. One informs him that the chairman wants him home. One of the guards, clearly older, looks tense. Seems like this is about something that happened yesterday. Jae-hyung glares coldly at the man. He had told them to keep it clean and problem-free. Meanwhile, terrible weather lashes down on the Chaebol High School. So much has already happened there. A guy bursts into a classroom, addressing Wanjun, who's comfortably resting with his feet on someone's back. The heir to a conglomerate lounges around, staring at his phone until he's interrupted. His face darkens instantly, and a terrifying expression replaces his earlier laziness. He seems to have some questions. He slaps the back of the level 4 student he was resting on, forcing the guy to lower himself further. The bullied victim trembles in fear and exhaustion, trying to apologize to his tormentor. Even the messenger looks confused, but Wanjun questions why he came. Wanjun gets off his human sofa and asks what his friend wants and why he's here. The heir seems uninterested in conversation, while his friend is clearly nervous. He says Wanjun has gone too far. Whatever he did could make important people angry. But the guy couldn't care less. He says it's all part of his plan. There's no need to worry. He starts walking away, but his friend grabs his shoulder. Wanjun seems utterly unfazed. A single glare from the air makes the friend flinch. Wanjun repeats, "Back off." He returns to his human sofa, scrolling through his phone while his friend remains visibly shaken. He knows something's changed in Wanjun lately. Whatever he did, it'll surely piss Lee Jae-hyung off. Wanjun's face darkens again. With the snap of his fingers, he summons a bespectacled student. The heir cracks his knuckles as the terrified boy removes his glasses. He knows what's coming. The friend watches, confused, full of questions. He no longer understands his old buddy Wanjun. A loud, brutal punch lands straight in the poor student's face without a word or reason. The beating continues. The boy writhes in pain. No one in class dares to speak. The fear keeps Wanjun in power. Punch after punch. The classmate watches the horrifying scene, completely at a loss for words. It's gone too far. The poor student is now bleeding heavily. Are people nothing but toys and tools to Wanjun? He's just venting his emotions onto this guy's face. The boy collapses to his knees, terrified and bleeding. Finally, the nightmare ends for him. This is what power does to people, and this school's level system only makes it worse. Level 4 students live in fear of guys like Wanjun. The heir now turns to his friend Kim Yoon-tae, who is frozen in the doorway. But when addressed, he flinches. Why does Yoon-tae keep pushing the line? Wanjun only spares him because they've known each other for so long. He proposes they finally draw clear boundaries. Yoon-tae just apologizes in a trembling voice. This display of brutality and dominance was enough for him. He leaves Wanjun behind. But peace still eludes the heir, as someone from the classroom calls out to him, catching him off guard. The voice belongs to Han Jong-un, who kindly helps the beaten boy up and tells Wanjun to stop this nonsense. Jong-un wasn't gone long, and yet Wanjun caused chaos again. He had thought he'd calmed down after that beating from Dyoung. But Han Jong-un isn't like the others. He's not afraid. He even sarcastically asks if Wanjun plans to hit him too. Wanjun gets furious again. He just wants everyone to leave him alone so he can keep reveling in superiority. Out of frustration, he punches a desk, but still agrees to Jong-un's request to stop. He assumes Jong-un is acting all high and mighty only because people respect him, though he actually has nothing. Having achieved his goal, Han Jong-un exits the classroom, heading straight for the infirmary. But someone calls out to him by name, and he turns to see who it is. It's Jae-hyung, handing him a package that clearly holds something important. Jae-hyung asks him to deliver it directly to Lee Da-kyung, which greatly surprises Jong-un. Inside the bag is Da-kyung's school uniform. After that, all kinds of weird thoughts could enter anyone's mind. Naturally, Jong-un's first question is, how does Jae-hyung have her uniform? But the latter is already walking away. Without answering, Jae-hyung leaves, throwing the guy into confusion with only one thought in his head. Meanwhile, Da-kyung is in class. Jian sits beside her, enthusiastically chatting about something. She bombards the girl with questions, until suddenly the package with the uniform lands on the desk. First thing Jong-un asks is, what exactly were Da-kyung and Jae-hyung doing yesterday? The girl is stunned. She thought she'd simply lost her uniform. Apparently, Jae-hyung found it. Jong-un doesn't stop interrogating her. When did they meet? She replies, just briefly in the evening. Only in the evening and just the two of you? He asks. That answer clearly unsettles him. His face darkens. A chilling aura begins to form around him, giving Da-kyung goosebumps. Understandable. After what just happened, anyone might jump to conclusions. Jian watches the whole thing with a sly smile. She even finds it cute. She's amazed Da-kyung managed to hang out with Jae-hyung right after shopping with her. The argument continues. Da-kyung truly plays the fox, and it's striking a nerve with Jong-un. Jian even suggests there's some kind of love triangle between Da-kyung, Jae-hyung, and Jong-un. She's giddy and delighted while her friend stares at her, clearly begging for help or support. Da-kyung can't handle Jong-un anymore. Her face silently pleads for rescue, and Jian seems to get it. She jumps in to help, showing photos from their shopping trip as proof of Da-kyung's version. Da-kyung just nods along, pretending that's how it really happened. Jong-un studies the photos closely. Seems like he liked how she looked in the dress. He now wants to see her in something else. That line nearly makes Ji-yeon explode with embarrassment, though Dyoung doesn't share her enthusiasm. Ji-yeon offers something weird to Han Jung-won, to come over next week. Both Jung-won and Dyoung are surprised. The girl insists she and Dyoung had already agreed to meet, though her new friend clearly doesn't recall this. Ji-yeon and Han Jung-won have set a date for Monday without even asking Dyoung's opinion. Dyoung drags herself to her partner Tae-woong, visibly exhausted and barely walking. He's already missed her. They found a new place for their office. Sure, it's old and has no AC, but at least it's close to the school. Yes, it looks more like a storage room in an electronics shop, but in terms of safety, distance, and price, it's the best option. Tae-woong asks about her fatigue. The day drained her. Honestly, fighting 100 people might have been easier. Dyoung brings up the files from Jong-un's computer, which her partner also wanted to discuss. Turns out the computer has literally nothing. Jong-un's like a caveman, doesn't use it, not even for games. The only interesting thing they found was a strange photo of a man holding a child. It's a hospital room. The man is likely the father of Han Jung-won. But can a man give birth? This whole thing is bizarre, yet clearly it's a male figure holding the baby in that hospital setting. Seems that man was sick and died over 18 years ago. Could there be any other explanation besides being Jong-un's father? Tae-woong spent a long time digging for info. The man in the photo is Kwon Dae-heon, director of an orphanage. He has no connection to Jong-un. Then why is this photo on Han Jong-won's computer? Who is that man really? It seems researching people connected to Han Jong-won won't yield results. Maybe even he himself isn't real. Info about him is limited. Could it be that Ia's guy isn't just some guy, he's someone entirely different? Flashbacks flood Dyoung's mind. She just decapitated an enemy. She's covered in blood. The gruesome scene doesn't frighten her. She gazes blankly at the lifeless body. She had killed many that day. A voice on the phone is glad she's alive and asks if she called the boss. It must have been that very day the boss died, falling straight into Chairman Lee's hands. They were all killed. Dyoung had to run far away just to avoid the same fate. One fatal day changed everything. She tried to disappear. Her terrified eyes reflected the horror and realization. She lost contact with her ally. The phone kept repeating the same robotic message about the unavailable subscriber. That same monotonous phrase, again and again, finally drove her mad. She threw the phone far away. Emotions caught up with her. She collapsed to her knees, crushed by helplessness. Her life crumbled in a single moment, and there was no going back to how things were. Everyone she cared for, dead. That 1,000-yard stare on her face captured her entire emotional palette. How did it all spiral so far out of control? She stopped processing the world around her. Only emptiness remained, white as winter snow. She never had a home or family to begin with. And even after filling those voids, she returned to her past. But a voice pulled her out of the trance. Someone was calling her name. Could it be rescue at last? Or death? The voice was Tae-woong, angrily telling her to get up already. All that nightmare had just been a dream. And Tae-woong, who woke her, immediately got smacked in the face by the startled girl. She had just been asleep, though not peacefully. The guy had scared her badly, and he ended up tossed into the trash. Only now did she realize how late it was. 10 in the morning, and she'd been sleeping so soundly, Tae-woong didn't even wake her. She showered, got dressed, and now seemed ready for some kind of presentation for her partner. She wanted to discuss the topic of the male students they've studied so far. There are 34 in total. 16 of them are definitely not connected to the chairman. The other 18? Very little data available. Based on the school's hierarchy, the chairman's son should be at the very top of the pyramid. If they filter those 18 by level, only the level 1 and level 2 students remain. There are only 4 of them. Could the chairman's son have been purposely assigned to level 4? Maybe, but it's highly unlikely. Not when they recognize each other from elite galas, or when identities are already public knowledge. There are rare cases when someone's treated as level 1, like he offended someone higher and got away unscathed. Now for the main point, those 4. First is Lee Jae-hyung. Maybe he's not as complicated as he seems, even if he's level 1 and mysterious. But if there was so little info on him, how could they assign him level 1 in the first place? Second is Wanjun, heir of the Wanjun conglomerate, a confirmed level 2 student at the school. Even Tae-woong's heard of him. He's all over the media. They call him a clean-cut second-gen Chaebol prince. But Dyoung knows the truth. And now, a task for Tae-woong. Find out if the Wanjun Group and Siang Corporation are connected in any way. The most troublesome among the four is Han Jong-un, a supposed level 1 student, though that's not confirmed. Tae-woong seems shaken when he sees the guy's photo. He looks familiar, like someone he's seen before. He can't quite place it. Maybe an idol, maybe an actor. But he should know. Dyoung talks about him a lot. Jong-un is like a trauma for Dyoung. From head to toe, he's weird, especially how he only ever follows her. She doesn't get it. Why does he act like she belongs to him? Always trying to control her, limit her. But Tae-woong couldn't care less about her emotional drama. He just finds couples annoying. So what's her plan? The guy makes the obvious guess. He's just in love with you. But she thinks that's ridiculous. No one even knows who he is. Not in school. No matter how hard she digs, nothing comes up. It's like he pre-wiped everything. He's the first guy like that she's met, and of all people, he chose her. An undercover agent. Could that really be because of love? Does she really think he knows who she is and is trying to get close? Tae-woong finds that impossible. To the world, they're all already dead, rotting in the ground. And Dyoung herself? She wasn't even born. Those words hit her harder than expected. No one is supposed to know their true identities. Of course. But the girl has a theory. Maybe this all ties back to the recent attack on their office. Could Jong-un be involved? But she doesn't get to voice her suspicion. Tae-woong's head starts aching again, and he decides to begin digging into Wanjun instead. Dyoung gets so lost in her thoughts that she doesn't notice anything anymore, while Tae-woong, exhausted from all this back and forth, starts kicking her out. A dark office, dimly lit by a single light source, empty chairs. A hand, clearly belonging to someone powerful, adorned with gold rings, counts a large sum of money. A negotiation is underway between two men and Wanjun. It seems a deal has been struck. He hired them. The men request a photo to identify the target. Wanjun starts scrolling through his phone but can't find it right away. Eventually, the search succeeds. He finds the image he needs. He shows the mercenaries an Instagram photo of Dyoung and Jian, pointing to the dark-haired girl as their target. One of the men quickly realizes she's a high school student. He seems confident, thinks he can handle her alone. But Wanjun, pointing at his own tooth, explains she's far from an ordinary student. On their first encounter, she punched him so hard she knocked out a tooth. He had to get an implant. If it were that easy, he wouldn't be hiring them. One mercenary studies the target's photo carefully, while the other is sure the job will go smoothly. The first man seems to recognize the girl in the photo. That's why he's staring so intently, which surprises Wanjun. The mercenary can't explain it clearly, but he recalls an older brother who supposedly had some fun with the similar woman. Wanjun's eyes light up with interest, and he demands to see it, but the men wave it off, saying it's not important. His curiosity only grows, and he insists. The mercenary begins searching his phone. It's been 20 years since then. At last, he finds what he was looking for and hands the phone to Wanjun. Seeing the image on screen, he lets out a faint chuckle. That chuckle quickly morphs into hysterical, maniacal laughter echoing through the room. He seems unsure what emotion to express after seeing what he saw, so madness takes over. Wanjun's laugh grows more unhinged. The mercenaries, having received their task, are quick to leave. The laughter of shock still hasn't left the boy. Lee Dyoung turns out to be far more extraordinary than he expected. Meanwhile, Dyoung isn't paying attention in class. She's dozing off, lulled by the teacher's monotone voice. But her nap is cut short. Her sleepy eyes slowly blink open. Sitting beside her is Jong-un, watching the sleepy girl with amusement. Her sleep vanishes in an instant. She startles, forgetting her dreamland. She's in complete shock. The obvious question on her face, what is he doing here? And Jong-un knows she wants to ask it. Jian also looks exhausted from the never-ending dull lesson. Their last class was math. Jian rubs her eyes, tired from all the theorems. She turns to Dyoung to talk, but then notices she's not alone. Jong-un is sitting right next to her. Why is Jong-un hopping from class to class like this? Is that even allowed? And where's his bag? Oh, right, he never brings one. Their little conversation is interrupted by Ji-yeon's arrival. She's clearly annoyed by the springtime romance vibes. She jokes that they should continue their romantic tension at her place. She'll even set the mood. The final bell rings. The trio leaves the school, heading straight to Ji-yeon's house. Both Jong-un and Ji-yeon bombard Dyoung with questions. He asks about her weekend, which she spent trying to expose him. And the girl wants to know why she ignored her messages. Jian notes that Han Jong-un suddenly became a regular at school after Dyoung transferred. Why did he skip so much before? But rules hardly matter when the school board is made up of friends and family. It's a good thing Dyoung didn't apply as a teacher. Dyoung tells them to go ahead. She'll catch up later. She needs to make a call. She wants to call Jo Tae-woong. She really doesn't want to walk, so she needs a driver. She also warns him not to call her first like last time. She's about to type the message when a student bumps her with his shoulder, without even looking. She drops her phone. The two guys don't even glance back. They clearly don't see her as an equal, just a commoner. One of them is none other than Wanjun, arrogance and vanity in human form. This mini-king's antics are seriously starting to get on her nerves. She's going to snap again soon. But no, she needs to stay calm and stick to the plan. Sadly, her phone didn't survive the impact. Still, at least one silver lining. Wanjun also seems hurt by the collision, like she has steel shoulders. But the ruckus catches the attention of both Han Jong-un and Hwan Ji-yeon. The guy should take responsibility for the broken screen, but he's too proud. Even though he was the one who bumped into her, he should just pay and leave. Hey, the mention of money pisses him off. Fine, then give back the cash for his tooth? That was the price for Ji-yeon's photo, the girl retorts. It seems Wanjun may still have some sliver of conscience. He pulls out his wallet. Maybe he really is going to pay. But pride still rules him. Instead of handing it to her, he tosses a wad of cash at Dyoung's feet. He sees her as a low-born commoner. He can't believe someone like her is even enrolled at this elite Chaebol High School. He's like the pure embodiment of one of the 7 deadly sins, vanity made flesh. Should I just kill him? Even thoughts like that swirl through Dyoung's mind. But she remembers her partner's reaction to her previous stunts, the fork near the eye, the knocked-out tooth. She never saw it as a problem. It's not like she killed anyone. Still, she really shouldn't be drawing attention to herself. These aren't just students, they come from the world of finance. She must keep her head down, quieter than a mouse. She decides to listen to her partner after all, exhaling deeply as she tries to calm her anger. Dyoung simply turns on her heel right in front of him and walks away, ready to leave it all behind. But it seems Wanjun doesn't like it when someone shows pride or inner strength in front of him. As she walks away, he calls after her, "You're just like your mother, Dyoung." Now it's clear what the mercenaries showed him. That's something Dyoung refuses to tolerate. She turns sharply back toward the arrogant little king. But before she can do something reckless, she's saved by Jong-un's timely arrival. Jian is waiting for them. Thanks to his appearance, Dyoung manages not to kill Wanjun on the spot. The trio ride in a car together. Jian already heard what happened at school. She's furious about Wanjun's behavior. She even thinks that instead of knocking out his tooth that day, they should have shattered his jaw, so he'd shut up forever. Turns out Jong-un had no idea about the conflict between Wanjun and Dyoung. He never paid it any mind. He's odd, says he doesn't care about others, yet keeps getting involved with Dyoung. Ji-yeon's face turns red like a ripe tomato. But it's not embarrassment. It's shame. On Dyoung's first day at school, she couldn't even keep herself together. Dyoung had told Jong-un about that, which really pissed him off. But oh well, she still thinks he is a first-level student. The girl tries to convince Ji-yeon otherwise, but she won't believe it. Why is she so certain Jong-un is level 1? Still, Dyoung is fine, even after what happened with Wanjun. That says a lot. Any conflict with that guy is bound to end badly. Is Wanjun really that powerful? Jong-un just thinks he's got a terrible personality. That's for sure. Wanjun is always pulling dirty tricks to wear people down. An awful person. Nobody wants to deal with him, just to keep their hands clean. Now that's interesting. Maybe they should dig into his background. Maybe it's all connected to the Siang group, Dyoung suggests, but Ji-yeon immediately cuts her off. That group is like Voldemort from Harry Potter. You shouldn't even mention them. It's too dangerous. Dyoung's thoughts drift again, this time to Han Jong-un. He's smiling. What's he thinking about? 1,000 questions buzz through Dyoung's mind. The trio finally arrive at Ji-yeon's place. It turns out she has her own apartment. She pulls Dyoung inside right away, but the latter clearly just wants to go home. They settle down to choose food for delivery. When it comes to eating, Dyoung isn't picky. She likes everything. They suggest chicken, pizza, and tteokbokki, but Ji-yeon isn't into that combo. She's pickier than the other two. Just as she's about to place the order, her phone starts flashing with an incoming call. It's her dad. She jumps at the sight. He's calling via video. Ji-yeon panics. She doesn't want her dad to find out there's a boy in her apartment. Dyoung suggests they step away. But Ji-yeon finds another solution. She shoves the pair into her closet, even though she really only needed to hide Jong-un. The call has already started. An awkward and cramped situation surrounds Lee Dyoung and Han Jong-un. The girl is pressed right up against the guy. There's barely any room in the closet. The tension is visible all over Dyoung's face. Taken out of context, this scene could easily be misinterpreted. Judging by Jong-un's face, he's just as uncomfortable being that close to Dyoung. But he seems more composed. He puts a finger to his lips, signaling silence. Dyoung is fuming at him. Jong-un starts inching closer, even reaching for her waist. She is not happy about that. Dyoung tries to push him away, but it's impossible. She's backed up against a hanger, and the guy hits his head on it. The conversation between father and daughter is interrupted by a loud thump. So much for the silence Ji-yeon begged for. Nearly falling, Jong-un grabs Dyoung's waist to steady himself. Meanwhile, Ji-yeon scrambles to explain the noise to her dad. She's not very convincing. The awkward tension between Lee Dyoung and Han Jong-un hangs in the air. Ji-yeon still tries to deflect, even showing her father the wardrobe as the source of the sound. But why is Dyoung, a girl, hiding? The two are now pressed even closer together. Still, Dyoung realizes that Ji-yeon's father might be useful in her investigation. The charade crumbles when a voice clearly calls out Hwan Ji-yeon from inside the closet. Her father hears it loud and clear. There's no hiding it now. No more secrets. The girl's words no longer work on her own father. He's clearly angry and displeased now. The father suggests the unthinkable, that his daughter might be dating Wanjun. Even he knows that guy's a creep. The girl starts spouting total nonsense, even dragging ghosts into it. Meanwhile, the wardrobe doors creak open. Ji-yeon looks into the open wardrobe, and she's clearly shocked by what she sees. The closet is completely empty. That should be enough proof for her father. Well, not entirely empty. Dyoung and Jong-un just crouch lower. The guy clamps a hand over her mouth, and she angrily yanks his hair. The whole situation seems amusing to Jong-un, but Dyoung is clearly not happy with his antics. The call finally ends, and the trio can breathe again. That was a stressful ordeal. Ji-yeon tries to apologize, but Dyoung isn't having it. A hanger flies straight at the girl's face. That obviously hurt. Dyoung, annoyed, gets ready to storm off and go home. A red mark is left on Ji-yeon's face, but she still tries to stop her friend, if only for the food. As always, Dyoung's weakness is food. She munches away on the tasty delivery without a care. Jong-un asks when she plans to head home. Dyoung replies, after she finishes eating. He offers to go with her, even drive her home. This seems to intrigue Ji-yeon, but Dyoung declines. Being around him always causes problems. He's a walking disturbance. Her words cut Jong-un like blades. Ji-yeon listens anxiously to their conversation. Dyoung shut him down so coldly that the guy is left stunned. He looks genuinely shocked. It's rare to see such a serious expression on his usually smiling face. After all these years, school has only now become both exciting and tense. At least in Ji-yeon's eyes, who seems strange to Dyoung. Despite the rejection, Jong-un stands his ground. He's worried about her and insists on staying close. He's concerned about Wanjun, but the girl says she can handle it, even 100 of him, if needed. The others barely know her, so her words seem ridiculous. They compare her to a TV gang leader. Hearing that comparison, Dyoung instantly tenses up and even starts sweating, a detail Ji-yeon immediately notices. The undercover spy thinks she's been exposed. After watching something on screen, Ji-yeon wonders why gangsters wrap their knives in bandages. Dyoung explains, if you don't, your hand could slip. It's also to avoid leaving fingerprints, and the blade's meant to injure, not kill. Jong-un adds. Ji-yeon is surprised by their knowledge, and a bit sad that she doesn't know these things. But when you think about it, it's kind of obvious. She sulks, thinking they see her as dumb, comparing herself to Plankton, brainless and barely alive. But even here she's wrong. Plankton are alive. For the first time in ages, Dyoung laughs. Seeing Dyoung laugh is as strange and rare as seeing Jong-un without a smile. Even Han Jong-un is surprised by the sight, which leaves the girl confused. Both Ji-yeon and Jong-un agree. They've never seen her laugh before. Though the reason annoys Ji-yeon a little. Dyoung doesn't get it. She smiled plenty of times, although her smiles were usually a bit creepy. Ji-yeon flops onto the bed, but then asks how popular the girl is. But she has no clue. Don't lie down right after eating, you'll get indigestion. The moment Jian brings up dating, Dyoung pounces on her. Jian clearly doesn't enjoy it. She looks like she might puke. Meanwhile, Dyoung grins gleefully. While the girls mess around, Jong-un quietly starts cleaning. Seems like he's the only one not having fun right now is Jian. Still, she notices Jong-un's neatness and effort. If you like him so much, why not date him? But to Dyoung, that's just ridiculous. He isn't her type at all. She prefers cute and gentle types. Which begs the question, if Jong-un isn't cute, then what kind of guy is her type? Jian throws Dyoung's words back at her, telling Jong-un that the girl said he was handsome. Dyoung is stunned. Her behavior is starting to irritate Dyoung. Jian suddenly asks how many relationships she's had. The answer? 0. Jian sits up fast and bangs her head against Dyoung's chin. First thing she does is tell Jong-un. He looks a little surprised by that revelation. Jian doesn't understand. How could someone like Dyoung never have dated anyone? She seems normal enough. Realizing it's the right time, Dyoung decides it's time to leave, and she lets her friend know. She's already putting her shoes on. Jian suggests she leave with Jong-un, but once again she refuses. It's already quite dark outside. The girl walks calmly back toward the office. The day has been pretty exhausting for her, but Jong-un's words still linger in her mind. He said he was worried about her. How? He doesn't even know she came to the school to kill someone. Friendship, connection, and love, all those normal emotions feel foreign and awkward to Dyoung. This whole school atmosphere made her lower her guard. But starting tomorrow, it's time to get back to the mission. A strange man, fully cloaked, secretly smoking a cigarette, is watching her closely from the shadows. And now Wanjun's hired thugs appear. A cold blade presses against the girl's neck. Just like they expected, the job seemed easy at first glance. They even find it a bit amusing. The knife touches her delicate skin. Drops of blood appear. The situation is extremely dangerous. She's warned immediately. One wrong move and she will regret. All she has to do is walk forward. The girl can only think of Han Jong-un. She's taken to an old, abandoned industrial facility. Surrounded by several men, their eyes predatory. They're hunters and she's the prey. One of them gestures for her to come over with a simple wave. The tension rises. Dyoung needs a plan. To their surprise, the girl shows not a hint of fear. She immediately asks them if they're working with Wanjun. The man looks shocked. Seems she hit the nail on the head. It was the heir who sent them. If he's got something to say, let him come himself. She grabs the man's wrist. With a swift move, she twists his arm and slams him to the ground, fat and painful. So much for the easy job. They realize this girl is nothing like what she appeared to be. They try to grab her, but she dodges every attack with ease. She lands a precise kick right to one guy's chin. This is going to be more than just a knocked-out tooth. Another thug draws a knife, ready to strike from behind. But her combat skills far surpass theirs. She dodges even this ambush. He still manages to cut her slightly. Blood trickles down. But she's not just defensive. She slams an elbow right into his face, then smashes the bloodied man into a wall. He collapses, likely unconscious. She's already taken out part of their group. The remaining thugs stare at her in horror. Dyoung grabs a knife and wraps her wound. One of the thugs turns to his buddy in panic. And then the bald one steps forward, grinning. This, he finds entertaining. He admits she's no ordinary girl. She clearly has real battle experience. He takes a combat stance. He's confident, even against someone like her. But that confidence shatters in an instant. She lunges forward and lands a blow. Now blood drips down his face too. Dyoung becomes a true monster in battle. But the thug still has a trick up his sleeve. He draws a shiny blade. He tries to stab her. But Dyoung fights for her life with everything she has. He grabs her by the throat, ready to end it, to kill this little demon once and for all. But he was too sure of himself, and he pays for it. She knocks him down and pounces on him with the knife. One of the thugs tries to intervene, but she makes it clear he doesn't belong in this fight. He panics, his nose is bleeding. Death is seconds away. He begs for time. The blade gleams. He's hysterical. Dyoung is about to send him to meet the others she's already taken down. But she hesitates. She recalls Taewong's words. Don't hurt those unrelated to the case. That second of doubt is all the thug needs. He punches her hard across the face. She staggers back. It was unexpected. He thinks she may fight well, but she's still just a kid. Hitting her is one thing, but killing? That's another. Not that it matters to them. But Dyoung refuses to go down like this. She lands a clean hit, knocking the man out cold. The last thug, realizing the nightmare he's in, bolts, fleeing from the demon girl. Dyoung stands over her defeated enemy. It was a brutal fight, but she won. She decides to take a trophy, something that might help her. The thug's phone. She checks his belongings, disposable phone and fake ID, just common thugs. These aren't Chairman Lee's people. Could all this really be Wanjun's doing, she wonders? But the fight isn't over. Someone sneaks up behind her and smashes a bottle over her head. A serious mistake. She'd let her guard down. The man prepares to strike again. Dyoung loses consciousness. The man is furious at the other thugs. He throws her over his shoulder and leaves. Those weaklings couldn't even handle a kid. Back in Ji-yeon's apartment, Jong-un has just returned after a phone call. He asks where Dyoung is. She left about 10 minutes ago, the girl says. He immediately looks worried. He's clearly anxious about her and starts getting ready to go after her. Ji-yeon thinks he's overreacting. She looks puzzled. Jong-un wants to get in touch with Dyoung. It's time to say goodbye. The guy walks down a fairly crowded street trying to call his friend, but no luck. Suddenly, he catches voices coming from around the corner. In a familiar alley, a man sits talking on the phone, apologizing to the client. That man turns out to be one of the mercenaries we know, the one abandoned by his group, now listening to his employer. Jong-un, unafraid, snatches the man's phone and learns about a location, an abandoned factory on the mountain. The mercenary is furious at the audacity. He grabs him by the neck, eager to take out his anger on someone. Jong-un immediately realizes who they are. Wanjun's mercenaries from Byeon. And he's right. The guy brushes off the thug's grip. The man asks who he even is. But Jong-un isn't about to explain himself to just anyone. He simply turns and walks away. The mercenary clearly doesn't like being ignored, but the guy couldn't care less. He's focused on the blood traces on the ground. He is cold and logical. He knows how these people work, what threats they respond to, what fears drive them. He even guesses they might have once worked for Director Dyoung, and he's right again. The mercenary repeats his question, but Jong-un asks his own. Where is the factory, and where is Lee Dyoung? The girl lies bound. She seems to have been unconscious for some time, until cold water splashes across her face. Slowly, she opens her eyes. A man speaks to her. The mystery man turns out to be Mr. Vanity himself, Wanjun. He watches his captive with a smile, pleased with himself. She tries to move, but the ropes are too tight. Struggling is pointless. He's already been told she gave the mercenaries a hard time. Dyoung silently counts the people in the room. Wanjun can't figure out who she really is. About 5 people are inside, possibly more outside. He hates being ignored, so in rage, he hits her, stating the obvious. She's been kidnapped. Dyoung doesn't care for the theatrics. She cuts straight to the point. What does he want? A smug grin spreads across his face. Truth is, he's not even sure himself. He proposes something vile. He wants to have fun with her. Dyoung stays silent. She calls him insane. That insult wipes the grin from his face, replaced by fury. How many hits will it take before you come to your senses? He threatens, but she just laughs. Even in this hopeless state, the girl still manages to mock him. But he doesn't have to hit her himself. He has money, people, and power. Fists are for the 80s. Fighters like Dyoung may rule the streets, but in the upper levels, it's money that rules. But even so, Wanjun doesn't make the money. He's just a parasite feeding off his boss. Dyoung knows Wanjun is weak. He's nothing more than Lee Jae-hyung's subordinate. The funny thing is, Jae-hyung despises guys like Wanjun who abuse their power. The guy bursts out laughing. If Jae-hyung stood up for her once, does she really think he's on her side now? Jae-hyung can't possibly hate him. Wanjun is essential. Jae-hyung couldn't do anything without him. What would a lowborn like you know? He sneers. He reaches into his pocket to show her something. That morning, Wanjun mentioned Dyoung's mother. It wasn't a bluff. It wasn't just to anger her. Though she hides it well, Dyoung is shocked. He pulls out a photo, one where the woman looks exactly like her, surrounded by men. At first, he only noticed the woman, but looking closer, there's something more. Her mother, a woman of the lowest class. How did someone like that get into their school? Wanjun mocks her again, basking in superiority. If word gets out, she won't just be expelled. She won't even be allowed near the school. But his delight is cut short by her words. A simple, so what? And the smirk disappears. Wanjun threatens again to spread the photo, but she doesn't care. If he wants to, go ahead. Try it if you think you can. she says. Dyoung doubts he's got the guts. He demands to know why she thinks that. Simple, she replies. Because today, you'll die. He laughs at that. She's in no position to make threats, tied up and helpless. Overconfident, he grabs her head and moves to strike again, thinking she's completely powerless. But his arrogance backfires. She slams her head into his, hitting him square in the face. Now he's beneath her, writhing in pain and screaming insults. Dyoung doesn't feel fear, just amusement. She even smiles, mocking him. Didn't your lackeys warn you I'm good with my legs? Not fully restraining her? Big mistake. Wanjun snaps. He's ready to strangle her with his own hands. One of the mercenaries tries to tie her legs, but Wanjun stops him. He grabs a bat, ready to begin the execution. His goal is to make sure she never walks again for the rest of her life. He raises the bat, aiming to shatter the girl like glass into a mess of shards. Jo Tae-woong sits alone in the office, waiting for a message from Dyoung or for her to show up. He's clearly worried, as if she were himself. He can't wait for the moment they reunite. Tae-woong decides to track her location, and when he sees it, he's shocked. What would she be doing in such a place? He assumes she might have gone on a late-night date with Han Jong-un, but then her signal cuts off. Her signal is gone, and that terrifies him. He starts to tremble. What could have happened to her? The mercenaries took care of her phone, disabling all signals and tracking. They know what they're doing. The guy seems exhausted, panting. Fresh, warm crimson blood drips from the bat. The girl no longer responds to anything. Wanjun can't get through to her. Is she dead? Maybe he went too far. Frustrated, he throws the bat to the ground with a loud clatter. One of the mercenaries steps in to check if she's alive. Did Wanjun really overdo it? But this is exactly what she was waiting for. Her restraints are loose, and she grabs the man by the neck. She's very much alive. Dyoung's grip is deathly tight. The man begins choking, drooling disgustingly. No one sees what's happening. One of the others goes to check on his partner. The man's massive size works against him. He blocks the view of Dyoung. And now his body crashes down onto his teammate. Dyoung is free again and ready for round 2. Everyone at the factory is horrified by the strength of their escaped prisoner. Wanjun flinches, just looking at her. He can't understand how she escaped. The rest of them rush to attack the girl. Covered in blood, she rises steadily to her feet. The restraints weren't as secure as they thought. Oh, Wanjun is terrified. All the mercenaries draw their weapons and charge at her. There's no fear in her eyes, only strength. She speaks directly to Wanjun. Her words are no bluff. He's last in line for execution. Her words send a jolt through the heir's body. He's already as good as dead. She stretches her hands after being tied up for so long. Wanjun still doesn't understand how she broke free. He notices the shackles are resting on a brick. She provoked him on purpose, to buy herself time. In a panic, he orders his men to capture the girl again. Everyone rushes her. No point in capturing now, just kill Dyoung once and for all. She's not about to fight barehanded. If they have weapons, she needs one too. One of the mercs gets close, and Dyoung is ready. Round 2 officially begins. She overpowered one of the mercenaries with a single blow. Wanjun is horrified by the scene. He covers his mouth to keep from screaming in terror. He never expected this turn of events. Her hands are bloody, but not with her own blood. It's her enemies now. She yanks a pickaxe, ready to do the same to the others. Someone grabs her from behind, locking her in place. Another rushes at her from the front with a knife. But just as he prepares to stab, his eyes fill with horror. Things aren't going to plan. The girl slips free with ease, tossing her stunned attacker into the man with the knife. The knife wielder is pinned under his own teammate. He can't move, much less stab. With a cold gaze, Dyoung raises the pickaxe, ready to claim a few more worthless lives. Unable to watch this merciless massacre any longer, Wanjun falls to his knees and turns away. His mercenaries are useless, falling one by one. Desperate, he considers calling the police. But another merc interrupts him. What will you tell the cops? That you kidnapped someone? He won't survive till they arrive. Rage, terror, despair, it all blends together inside Wanjun. He's completely lost. One mercenary offers a deal. He'll handle the girl and the bodies of his dead teammates for a price. But can Wanjun even afford that? He stays silent, though it's not like he has a choice. He hesitates, unsure of how to respond to the merc. Talking about dealing with Dyoung seemed to have thrown him off balance. Is this really what he had come to? The girl's gleaming, beast-like eyes lock onto Wanjun. She stares at him like a predator eyeing its prey. That gaze knocks the wind from his lungs. He screams in confusion, panic, fury, and fear all at once. In the end, he gives in. He's ready to pay whatever it takes, just for someone to kill this demon. A man picks up a knife and walks straight toward his target, the girl who had already killed many of his comrades. Meanwhile, the girl calmly tallies the number of lives she's taken. 4 already. How pathetic Wanjun has become, whimpering like a child trying to escape. Too bad his whining caught Dyoung's attention. Just one glance at the devilish girl terrifies him. She looks like death itself, with a pickaxe instead of a scythe. How quickly the tables turned. Now Dyoung towers over Wanjun, who cries like a little boy. Her cold stare shows no emotion. She raises the pickaxe. But she doesn't get the chance. A familiar mercenary attacks her from behind, stabbing her. And just like that, fortune shifts back to Wanjun's side. The girl's eyes fill with stunned disbelief. He mocks her. She miscalculated. There weren't 5 people in the factory. There were 6. She clutches the knife, trying to keep the blade from piercing deeper and hitting vital organs. Now this is what adults call a real fight. The Chaebol High School student's mind is breaking right before our eyes. The battle continues. The man slams Dyoung onto the cold floor, ordering her to release the blade. It's hard, but she holds on with all her strength. Her eyes scan for anything useful. She spots a chain. The man underestimates her, thinking he's already won. But the chain is already wrapping around his neck. Shackles tighten around the merc's throat. In his final moments, he desperately reaches for her face, gasping for a way out. His eyes redden, life drains slowly from him. With a swift pull, he yanks the blade from her body. A shockwave of pain surges through her, sharp and all-consuming as the blade exits her flesh. Bleeding heavily, she pushes the man off her. If the bleeding doesn't stop, she'll soon follow him. She tears off her shirt, wrapping it tightly around the wound to slow the bleeding. She writhes in pain like a snake. The girl knots the makeshift bandage as tightly as she can, but without medical help, it won't be enough. Her blurry gaze falls on Wanjun. His last hope now lies lifeless on the ground. His mind is a mess. He weeps like a baby, then suddenly laughs. He no longer knows what to feel. The girl rises suddenly, gripping her bloodied pickaxe. Wanjun can't believe she's even human. He panics, realizing this may be it. His next stop might just be a coffin, if he's lucky. Dyoung pauses, listening to his hysterics. He can't grasp how a girl who once seemed so fragile could be this powerful. He tries to bargain, offering her an outrageous sum, 100 million for his life. She couldn't care less. She moves toward him slowly, partly from pain, partly to prolong his agony. Like an auctioneer, he shouts out new offers, 10 billion, then 20, 50. He'll give her everything. His shares, his buildings, anything if she'll just spare him. He curls into a ball, avoiding her terrifying gaze. Now Dyoung asks if he really wants to live. Her words feel like a second chance to him. He swears he'll do anything to survive, but Dyoung wants something more. Information about the Siang group. She wants to know the truth about the chairman's son. Her question seems to paralyze him. He stammers and whines, not knowing what to say. Her terrifying gaze is fixed on this pathetic, arrogant worm. But he never gets the chance to speak. An elite SWAT team bursts into the factory, shouting, "Drop your weapon!" The answer was so close. Wanjun quickly seizes the moment, whining to the officers about the devil girl. Behind the cops stands a familiar silhouette. Jong-un. It seems he's the one who called them. Jong-un watches in horror. The girl looks like she's emerged from the darkest depths of hell. Dyoung is just as shocked to see him. Meanwhile, Wanjun cries and wails, playing the pitiful victim. But Dyoung is completely spent. Her body gives out, and she collapses unconscious on the cold floor. Paramedics arrive, trying to resuscitate the injured and stop Dyoung's bleeding. Among the fallen are the dead. A shadow passes quickly by the guy's side. He shoves the medics aside and rushes to Dyoung, desperately trying to bring her back to life. Jong-un is stunned by what he sees. He has no idea who this stranger is. The stranger turns out to be Tae-woong. He's horrified by his friend's condition. The medics try to pull him away. His eyes are wide with fear, his body shaking. Tae-woong doesn't understand how this happened or what comes next. The girl must be transported immediately or she'll die from blood loss. The guy is terrified, but the police grab Tae-woong since civilians aren't allowed at a crime scene. Jong-un orders them to stop. He hands Tae-woong a cap, pretending Tae-woong is part of Dyoung's family. The guy looks up at Jong-un for the first time. He's never seen him before and is surprised by his presence here. He puts his cap back on, silently thanking Jong-un for his command to the police. He's clearly in pain, both physically and emotionally. Two strong men drag Wanjun away. He screams that he's innocent, that Lee Dakyung is the killer. As always, Wanjun threatens them with his connections and status, but they don't care. They have a warrant. The guy is terrified. He doesn't even know who could have sent them here. His panicked gaze turns behind him. He stares directly at Jong-un. He wants answers. Who sent these men? Who gave them that warrant? Strangely, Jong-un appears calm, at least on the surface, though a faint trace of worry flashes across his face. Wanjun assumes this is all a setup by Dakyung and Jong-un. They both tricked him, played him like a fool. Meanwhile, Dakyung is being loaded into the ambulance. She must get to the hospital quickly or there'll be a funeral instead. Tae-woong refuses to let go of her. He pushes toward the medics, wanting to ride with her, until Jong-un's hand reaches out to stop him. The guy pauses. Jong-un needs to talk to him. Something important. He shows Tae-woong Dakyung's phone. It was found nearby, on the factory grounds. He hands the guy the phone, but Tae-woong can't tell whose it is, Dakyung's or Wanjun's. And apparently, even Jong-un doesn't know for sure. There's no time. The ambulance is leaving, and Tae-woong must go with her. Once again, Jong-un is left alone. Only the night wind and two SWAT vehicles remain around him. A dream or a nightmare. Thick pitch-black fog. Dakyung sits atop Chairman Lee, ready to kill. She wishes him nothing but death, slow and painful, for everything he did to her, everything he took away. Dakyung wants revenge for her friends who died in agony. She wants him to die with bloody tears. The chairman speaks, calling her efforts foolish. What's the point of killing only him? Even if he dies, will her nightmare truly end? A shadowy figure already points a gun at the girl's head. The vision fades. Dakyung wakes up, covered in bandages, in a hospital room, like she traded places with Tae-woong. And she's not alone. Jian and Tae-woong light up with joy the moment her eyes open. Jian tears up with relief and happiness. Her friend is alive, thanks to the doctor's hard work. She throws herself into Dakyung's arms, terrified and overjoyed, but unfortunately, she lands right on the wound, earning a pained grimace. Jian feared Dakyung would never wake up again, but the girl can't even speak due to the pain. They were told it was a car accident. The mention of an accident shocks Dakyung. Tae-woong subtly gestures for silence. Jian keeps talking. If she'd known, she would have forced the girl to go with Jong-un. Apparently, Tae-woong lied a bit, telling Jian he was both Dakyung's brother and her bodyguard. They had long talks while she slept for 2 days. Jiyeon's upset that she never introduced her brother earlier. It seems she's quite fond of Tae-woong. As expected, the rich really are different, she exclaims. Tae-woong beams with pride, but Dakyung doesn't share the sentiment. She immediately asks about Han Jong-un. Jiyeon laughs. Of course she'd ask about her boyfriend first. Jong-un somehow found out everything and called for help. Without him, Dakyung likely wouldn't be alive. This makes her pause. But Tae-woong interrupts her thoughts. There's something they need to discuss. Alone. He asks Jiyeon to leave. If anyone overhears, it could cause serious problems. His intense gaze flusters Jiyeon a bit, but she listens and leaves without protest. She says goodbye and wishes Dakyung a speedy recovery. Dakyung looks both annoyed and confused. Tae-woong hands her Wanjun's phone, given to him by Jong-un. It seems to hold something very important. An open chat with Jae-hyung reveals him ordering Wanjun to simply follow instructions. Dakyung freezes, stunned. She can't quite grasp what she's seeing. Tae-woong says there's no direct link between Wanjun and the Siang group, aside from formal ties. But maybe Jae-hyung's involved. Dakyung looks crushed. She says she'll dig into it herself. It's time for Tae-woong to go. He pulls up his shirt, revealing a large scar from the previous office fight. He tells her not to lose hope. They're the invincible couple, as he calls it. Outside, Jae-hyung sits calmly, checking something on his phone and smoking a cigarette. Jong-un takes a seat beside him on the bench, asking if he's expecting a call. He even guesses who it's from. Oh, Wanjun. But that call won't be coming anytime soon. Jae-hyung is slightly surprised by Jong-un's knowledge. Does this guy really know what's going on? Jong-un just laughs. Turns out Jae-hyung's sneakier than he seems. But did he really not know that Wanjun was tracking Lee Dakyung? Jae-hyung's expression darkens, like he's been caught. The chat history in Wanjun's phone speaks volumes. Jong-un doesn't care what Jae-hyung thinks or does, as long as he doesn't force Jong-un to become his enemy. It was a warning to Jae-hyung himself. The girl looks completely out of breath. It seems like she was running in a hurry, but where to? She's already dressed in her school uniform. Apparently, she's been discharged from the hospital where sports were out of the question. All her attempts to do even minimal exercise were instantly shut down by the hospital staff. Her unacceptable behavior as a patient was extremely irritating to the entire medical team. They even resorted to drastic threats, saying that if she tried it again, they'd perform surgery on her without anesthesia. Seems the doctor's words worked, but not in the way he hoped. The girl simply ran away and discharged herself. Her train of thought is interrupted by a guy who addresses her formally as Miss Dyoung. He seems nervous. He's a third year from class 2, Kim Min-jae. He came because of Wanjun but struggles to explain why. Finally, he gathers his courage and calls her a savior, claiming she's the one who drove Wanjun away. But the girl doesn't understand his admiration. Wanjun attacked first, and she was simply defending herself. She never meant to save anyone. And besides, she didn't even do much to him. She brushes the guy off and walks away, leaving him behind once again. But her words strike something deep within the boy's heart and mind. He suddenly realizes something important. She accidentally slipped, mentioning the fight, and the guy instantly understands there was no car accident. She fought Wanjun. He likes her, especially her arrogant tone and her insect-like gaze. He's so obsessed, he even asks to become her servant. Another school day, another realization about the weird student population. The girl is completely stunned. The guy is ready to serve her. Fetch this, carry that, hold her place in the cafeteria, carry her bag. She just has to say the word. But Dyoung doesn't want to hear it and just turns away. Now she's stuck running from some lunatic. But hey, it's still the exercise she dreamed of back in the hospital. She reaches the nurse's office door, panting heavily. Thinking about it, she's already had this kind of experience with being chased before. Not too long ago, it was Jong-un doing the chasing. Sure, he didn't ask to be her servant, but he was just as clingy. It feels like fate has written on her scroll that she'll forever be running from men. But then she remembers Jong-un came out of that very classroom. Most likely, Jong-un saw everything too. So, what is the girl supposed to say to him when they meet? Dyoung decides to lie down on the bed to get at least a little rest. Her head is pounding with pain. But it seems she didn't really look where she was lying down. Right next to her is a very familiar face. Jae-hyung stares at the girl in surprise, totally confused. The silence between them is absolutely deafening. The girl seems like she had a few questions for him, but unfortunately, she's already forgotten every single one. She's not at all bothered by his presence. She just turns to the other side of the bed and decides to rest after all. Jae-hyung is the first to speak. He's heard that she's only a short time away from being discharged. But how does he know that? From Jong-un. And how exactly does Jong-un know that? Well, that seems like it'll remain a mystery for her to ponder. Showing a hint of concern, Jae-hyung asks the girl how she's feeling at the moment. Dyoung makes it clear she doesn't want to keep talking to him, snapping back with a sharp, irritated reply. Sighing heavily, the guy apologizes. Apparently, those words are the first thing to actually spark her interest. To his surprise, she immediately jumps up after hearing that. Why? What does he even have to apologize for? Why should an apology come from his mouth specifically? After all, he wasn't the one who ordered the attack on her. Or did he? The guy quickly crushes that theory, but it seems like there's still a drop of guilt on his part. He says his guilt is in not keeping watch closely enough. Those words instantly make her think. Jae-hyung apologizes again, but could she really forgive him just like that? Looks like she's got a plan. Whatever she says next really throws him off. What does she want in order to forgive him? She decides she wants to drop by his place for a visit. Can she? Jae-hyung freezes at the thought. That's not even an option. No one is setting foot in Jae-hyung's house today but him. But of course things don't go his way. He ends up giving in to her anyway. It's a huge house, and he lives there alone. Or so she thinks. Turns out, aside from Dyoung, the young master's maid is also there to greet them. She's already set the table for lunch. Dyoung looks surprised, but her shock is nothing compared to the maid's. Jae-hyung has never brought friends here before, let alone a girl. He just asks her to set one more plate. The maid invites Dyoung upstairs to the guest room, and she happily flops onto the bed. Her head is splitting. She really should have listened to the doctor and stayed a little longer, skipping sports. But now's not the time for that. She has a mission, and she needs to look around for any possible clues. She walks into one of the rooms thinking it's the bathroom, only to find Jae-hyung changing inside. Classic scene. This is already the second bare, well-built torso she's seen during her so-called studies. But she suddenly feels a bit disoriented, almost collapsing. Thankfully, he catches her just in time. She's always falling. Could she have some kind of leg problem on top of everything else? Of course not. She has no such problem, and it kind of stings. Jae-hyung starts oddly examining her head, surprising her. He's checking her temperature. It's not exactly comfortable for her. Turns out she's running a fever. He realizes she needs to take something for it before lunch so she'll feel better. But as always, she's stubborn. She refuses to take medicine before eating. Why is she like this? He wonders. Dok-hyung notices strange marks on his muscular arm, tiny dots, almost like needle marks. His eyes instantly widen in shock. He realizes she's just uncovered something from his past. Why do you have needle marks? She asks, drilling into him with her gaze. But he chooses not to answer, simply shoving her out of the room with the excuse that he needs to change. Why react so harshly? She's sure he didn't want anyone to see those marks. Could he be using illegal substances? This might tie back to the Siang company. They've even been involved in trafficking certain illegal substances. What should she do? Maybe act right now? No, better to wait until she has undeniable proof. Her thoughts are interrupted by the maid calling them for lunch. The woman's prepared a simple meal. The young master rarely eats at home. But Dok-hyung seems pleased. She's amazed by how delicious it is, though from the outside, it might even look like she's not feeling well from it. Like a sweet grandma, the maid immediately asks how the two met. It's just so unusual. Jae-hyung is very reserved. It's hard to get close to him, but the girl quickly says they're not close at all. The maid doesn't take her seriously, thinking she's joking. She believes they should date. They look so good together. Who knows, maybe they'll even have a wedding one day. But Jae-hyung isn't exactly taking his maid's words seriously either. But oddly enough, the girl is intrigued by the idea. If they were married, she could eat this amazing food every day. Dok-hyung even says out loud that a wedding wouldn't be a bad idea, which makes Jae-hyung blush instantly. Hearing that, the maid instantly brightens up, but the young master himself doesn't look pleased at all. Jae-hyung decides to strike up a conversation with the girl, mentioning some kind of sports festival next week. Something Dok-hyung has never even heard of. Everyone's required to participate in at least one event. This time, Jae-hyung will be competing in shooting. The mention of shooting immediately gets a strange reaction from the girl. Seriously, what don't they come up with at this bizarre school? The maid even offers to go find the guy's gun and show it to the girl. But Jae-hyung decides to handle that himself. Yep, their school is definitely different from the rest. The girl keeps her eyes fixed on him. Jae-hyung rummages through a pile of his things. After all, their school even has horse races. It's a pretty unusual place to gain all sorts of experience. And there it is, the item he was looking for. A pistol rests in his hand, and it almost feels like he's about to cock it and raise hell. A shadow seems to fall over his face, and over the gun, as he confidently heads back toward Dok-hyung. Dark, unsettling memories swirl in her mind. An image, black as night, in a business suit, holding a gun ready to fire. It's as if she's suddenly transported back to that time and place. She lunges forward and yanks the gun out of his hands. But it turns out, it's not a real gun at all. It's bright, plastic, and childlike. A toy. She'd gotten worked up over nothing. The guy can't make sense of her sudden move, staring at her with a puzzled expression. But he decides not to press the subject. There's just a bouncy ball inside the gun. She can even take a shot if she wants. She decides to take his advice and fires it straight at Jae-hyung's cheek. The sight makes the maid burst into laughter, while Jae-hyung stares at her in disbelief. The speed's decent, but the ammo's way too soft. This toy gun was made by Minji's company. They produce all sorts of unusual things for sale. The name of that company instantly triggers a memory, bringing up the face of that crazy guy, Kim Min-jae. The girl asks the maid if she knows him. A little, she says. His family runs an arms business overseas. A lot of credit goes to Kim himself. He creates plenty of unusual blueprints. This guy could be useful. The maid steps away to get some fruit, leaving Dok-hyung and Jae-hyung alone. The girl decides to be the first to ask about those marks on his arm. She offers to trade secrets, adjusting her hair so her ear is visible. Her huge, dark secret turns out to be she can wiggle her ears if she tries hard enough. That's ridiculous. How could that be a secret? Still, the guy decides to answer. He says the marks are because of an illness. Illness? In a body like his? Strange. Could she hack into his medical records and hospital data? The girl is staring at him strangely. and he notices. Her gaze won't focus. Definitely not a healthy sign. She says it's just exhaustion. After all, she was badly beaten up because of someone. Those words immediately make him go silent. The maid returns with the tray of fruit, saying the sports festival will be lots of fun. She has a request. Could an Ajuma, an older or married woman, come and watch? She means herself. Apparently, outsiders can freely attend and watch. She wants to feel that youthful energy again. It's clear she misses her younger days. Suddenly, the girl starts feeling sick. It seems she's just seen something that triggered a panic attack. A knife, its blade peeling the skin from an apple. It's that sight that unsettles her so much. After all, that same blade could just as easily sink into a human body, piercing organs, releasing a stream of crimson. The maid tries to ask her something, but the girl is already too far gone. Fever, pain, nausea. Unable to hold on, she collapses from the chair, her back about to hit the cold, hard floor. Jae-hyung reacts instantly, like an unleashed guard dog, shock and confusion flooding his face. The maid freezes, while the girl curls up tightly, making weak attempts to ease her pain. Jae-hyung says they need to call a car and head to the hospital. But the girl finds the strength to speak. She doesn't want to go to the hospital. He's stunned by her words. She's trembling, barely able to string words together. With quivering lips, she says the doctor promised her surgery without anesthesia. Jae-hyung is in no mood for jokes. This is way too serious, and now she's starting to ramble nonsense. She blacks out, only waking up much later in an unfamiliar place, in an unfamiliar bed. She bolts upright, first remembering school, then how she got home yesterday, but instead she's greeted by Jae-hyung. The guy's clearly worried, though he's trying hard to hide it, watching the girl who's just woken up. Now it's Dok-hyung's turn to feel disoriented. What happened and what's going on around her? A wave of panic hits again. What is she doing here? Where are her clothes and her phone? He tries to calm her down. Dok-hyung suddenly tackles Jae-hyung onto the bed, pinning one of his arms and gripping his neck with the other. She's tense, aggressive. She doesn't want him touching her. What did he even do to her? Burning with anger, she repeats the question. What did Jae-hyung do to her? Her face is pure fury. Calming down just a little, she eases her grip, giving him a chance to get up. He asks for her to be hooked up to an IV. This place isn't just a hospital ward. It's Jae-hyung's private room, and her things are right here. The girl is confused, understandably so, but Jae-hyung hasn't done anything to her. He touches his neck, surprised at how much strength Dok-hyung has. Yes, it's difficult, but he asks her to believe him. Private ward. Just those words are enough to make the girl think. Turns out the guy wasn't lying when he said he was sick. Jae-hyung realizes she doesn't trust him at all. But the question remains the same. What illness does he have? He doesn't want to name it. Among all his acquaintances, only Wanjun knows. But why him specifically? Jae-hyung and Wanjun have known each other since childhood. Sometimes they fought, and because of the illness, things could get serious. Again, the girl starts to drift into thoughts, this time about Wanjun, but she's interrupted by Jae-hyung already asking about her condition. She says she's fine, though it's obvious to anyone that she's not. She suffered badly after meeting the young heir of the holding. Jae-hyung asks his question. Was it Wanjun? Is he the reason she's in all this pain and suffering? Dok-hyung is genuinely surprised by the guy's question. Could it be that he really didn't know about this incident? Again comes the girl's question. So he really didn't order the attack? Jae-hyung is stunned. In despair, the guy covers his face. He tries to convince her he's not lying, even though he understands her distrust. But then what does she even think of him, if there are so many misunderstandings between them? Understandably, the guy also did some digging on Dok-hyung. Come to think of it, she never got a clear answer why. For a few seconds, there's silence. The guy can't promise it won't happen again. The girl is extremely surprised. Jae-hyung really doesn't know how to lie. But still, why did he do it? He gathers his thoughts. Ever since she appeared at school, things have been strange. The one he's been keeping an eye on isn't even Dok-hyung, but someone else, Jong-un. He has nothing more to say. A new thread appears in the web of facts, but there are still many moments to uncover, at least the situation Jae-hyung is talking about. But what's more important? How is Jong-un tied to all this? It was clear he wasn't simple, but it seems he has plenty of skeletons in his closet. Dok-hyung grows more and more amazed at the school's crowd and its situation. It's like some kind of puzzle. A good idea comes to mind. Jae-hyung could really help in finding information. She needs details on Jong-un. The girl has a proposal for the guy. How about sharing what he's managed to dig up? The guy is surprised. Why does she need it? But then a counter question. Why does Jae-hyung need it? At first, he didn't want to inherit the right to manage, but now he needs that position. And for that, he must prove something, and there's a chance the key to it all might be Jong-un. The guy doesn't give much clarity. The more Dok-hyung listens, the less she understands. She needs the details of the whole case. Jae-hyung is surprised at her persistence. She's asking for a lot. This is actually the first time Jae-hyung has told anyone about himself. Dok-hyung just asks, now let him talk about himself. Now it's the guy's turn to ask, why does she want all this information about Han Jong-un? Dok-hyung tries to brush it off as mere curiosity, but the guy is meticulous. He knows it's not that simple. She tries to form words, but her lips tremble. She urgently needs to give him some kind of answer. Overcoming her nature and pride, the girl lies that she supposedly likes Han Jong-un. A dead silence falls. The girl starts to torture herself with thoughts. She needs to say something else fast. And this dead silence only presses down harder, making it harder to find words. But it seems it worked. Her answer is taken seriously by the young master. If that's really the reason, then Jae-hyung has no information for her at all. She tries to say something else to him. More importantly, if Dok-hyung likes Han Jong-un, she shouldn't be here. She should leave quickly. As if upset, he collapses onto the bed, blaming it on the fact that because of her, he hasn't gotten any sleep. Dok-hyung is extremely surprised. What did she do now? The guy even gets ready to call a driver for her. The girl insists on staying a bit longer, but Jae-hyung doesn't understand why. The school is nearby, and it's almost time to go. More importantly, she hasn't finished her investigation. The guy finally allows her to stay. She thinks this is her chance, but she's only allowed to be in this room. The girl is surprised by this decision, but the guy just asks her to wake him up at 7. There are cameras everywhere, so she won't be able to snoop around the house. Dok-hyung is completely dissatisfied. Her grand plan has fallen to pieces because of one killjoy. Time for school. Jian walks calmly to class, a little late. She looks downcast. And who will she eat lunch with today? She has no idea where her new best friend, Lee De-kyung, has gone. Luckily, she spots a familiar silhouette ahead. Han Jong-un is also heading to school. At least she won't be alone. The girl asks her friend about Dok-hyung. Where is she? He's heard she's supposed to be discharged soon. Jian thought so too, but yesterday she saw Dok-hyung at school, only she disappeared in the middle of the day. Where to? And she hasn't answered any calls. Then, by a lucky coincidence, Dok-hyung steps out of a car right in front of them. Jian, happier than ever, runs straight toward her, while a smile also spreads across Jong-un's face. Jian is already flying into Dok-hyung's arms right as Jae-hyung steps out of the car, drawing a sharp, fixed gaze from Jong-un. Realizing the whole situation, Dok-hyung shyly thanks Jae-hyung. It seems there will be many questions now. Seeing this scene, Jian is simply stunned. Could these two really have gotten this close already? Jian immediately assumes they just met on the way to school and Jae-hyung simply offered her a ride. But since Jae-hyung can't lie, he says the truth. They've been together since yesterday. Dok-hyung immediately tries to hush him. People could get the wrong idea. So that's how it is. Han Jong-un stares at Jae-hyung with the piercing eyes of a predator. The distance between the two closes sharply. Something might happen. Jian tries to calm them down, though she doesn't directly stand between them. Realizing it's time to bail and using the excuse that the first class is almost over, Jian grabs her friend and they run off. Dok-hyung calmly looks out the window, lost in thought. The investigation didn't go as she'd hoped, but she's learned something new. But her peaceful rest is interrupted by the constant buzzing of phone messages, which is starting to get on her nerves. The messages are from Jian, who has apparently already asked dozens of questions and can't wait for answers. Meanwhile, the argument between the guys doesn't seem to have gone beyond words. Jae-hyung has even decided to light a cigarette. Jong-un seems to have already asked Jae-hyung many questions. Why is he so obsessed with Dok-hyung? He doesn't understand. The guy brushes Jae-hyung off. Do you even need a reason to like someone? Is there really no other reason? Jong-un is puzzled. What is this guy even talking about? This behavior is nothing like Jong-un's usual self, Jae-hyung notes. He is already starting to lose his temper at Lee De-kyung's words and actions. Jae-hyung doesn't show much emotion yet, advising his opponent not to get worked up. Jong-un had asked what they were doing together. Jae-hyung says they shared a couple of secrets, leaving the guy baffled. The first secret was about her body, and the second, she told him who she likes. At these words, Jong-un seems to awaken. Who does Dyoung like? Jong-un is suddenly fired up with interest. He needs the answer now. But Jae-hyung isn't saying a word. Jae-hyung leaves Jong-un alone on the street, surrounded only by his thoughts and many questions. Jian seems to have seriously started to get on her friend's nerves with all her questions. The veins are already popping on Dyoung's forehead. What happened between Jae-hyung and Dyoung? This is Jiyeon's main question, still unanswered. Dyoung brushes her off, saying they just ate, talked, and that's all. True, but far from the whole truth. And here comes one of yesterday's problems for the girl, Kim Min-jae, running toward his lady. Jiyeon immediately scrunches up her face as if seeing something disgusting. Could this loser really know Dyoung? But Kim Min-jae isn't running to serve her. Yet. He has something to give her. Surrounded, the girl has nowhere to run. Coming from the other side is Han Jung-won, also full of questions. Dyoung, Lady Dyoung. The voices are tearing her apart inside, along with the people they belong to. The girl makes the most obvious choice in this situation. Retreat immediately. She finds no better solution than to just launch herself into a window with full force, shattering it into pieces while escaping. It went much better than expected. She did get a few cuts from the shards, but she landed successfully and fled. The trio watches in silence, each stunned by such an unexpected and insane action from Lee Dyoung. The girl stumbles into the nurse's office, where, as it happens, a familiar face is present. Jae-hyung. The shards seem to have roughed her up. Her face has several deep scratches, crimson blood seeping from the wounds. It's not too bad. The girl's wounds are cleaned and disinfected. She claims she just fell down the stairs. But the obvious question, where did the glass shards come from? The medic explains that with such cuts, she needs to go to the hospital, but the girl flatly refuses, remembering her doctor's words. Watching this scene quietly but with surprise is the familiar blue-eyed guy, Lee Jae-hyung. While the medic steps away, the guy comes closer to check her ankle, which also seems injured from the fall. The ankle is badly swollen. Looks like the hospital is unavoidable. The medic tries to take over from Jae-hyung, but the guy says it's fine. They're friends. Let him take care of her while the nurse goes for disinfectant. They've been meeting far too often lately. For the guy, it's understandable. But why is the girl always injured? Maybe it's just her fate, to always be wounded, sick, and broken at times. You can't fight fate. The girl also remembers the school sports festival. She ended up in the shooting contest, same as Jae-hyung. Seems like luck isn't on her side either. Hwang Ji-yeon drew lots on her behalf. And the girl really doesn't like this turn of events. She's even ready to kill Ji-yeon over it. These words bring a slight smile to the guy's face. Dyoung can finally relax a little and enjoy the quiet. No need to say silly things, no unwanted attention. The girl realizes she feels much more comfortable being near Lee Jae-hyung than with anyone else. At these words, the guy blushes like a tomato. After all, she only recently told him she liked Jong-un. The scene shifts to a dark room, with only thin rays of light spilling in from the opening door. It turns out the resident of this room is Wanjun, who was sleeping peacefully until someone's voice addressed him. A tall figure of a well-built man in glasses loomed over the now frightened guy. Panic sets in as the guy, terrified, realizes he doesn't recognize the silhouette standing above him. He calls out for his security. Unlike his companion, the mysterious man doesn't share the boy's emotions, calmly asking him to stay composed. The man shows his business card, and the moment Wanjun reads the name, a cold fear runs through his body. In the very next second, Wanjun falls to his knees before the stranger, who is interested in the incident involving Dyoung. Not understanding anything, the boy tries to justify himself to the stranger, trembling all over from fear and the gravity of the situation. The man tries to reassure him, saying Wanjun is not the person he's after. What he needs is Lee Dyoung, and he wants to know what the girl has said. It seems unexpected circumstances may soon arise. Clearly not during school hours, a girl in casual clothes comes to visit someone, though she doesn't seem to want to be here much. She has come to Han Jung-won, who is clearly surprised to see her. The two urgently need to discuss something. The expression of surprise fades, replaced by the guy's usual smile, and he lets the girl inside. He hands her a small, strange-looking box. Kim Min-jae asked him to pass it on to Lee Dyoung. Dyoung is surprised he also knows this guy. It turns out Kim Min-jae and Han Jung-won are classmates. And Min-jae's gift turns out not to be so simple. Inside the box, resting on a red cushion, lies a pistol. Min-jae prepared this the moment he learned the girl would be participating in the shooting event at the sports festival tomorrow. The guy draws the girl's attention away from the pistol and onto himself. It turns out he's upset with Dyoung. which surprises her. Like it or not, we are closer, he replies, clearly hinting at a certain someone she already knows. Jae-hyung. Why did she share personal matters with him, but not with Jong-un? Only now does the girl realize that Jae-hyung told a lot, and perhaps the guy already knows about her words, about her supposedly liking him, but in a way that's only natural, since Jong-un knows her real secret. At those words, Dak-hyung feels her chest tighten. The guy is holding a familiar photograph, her mother in the old days. The girl had hoped Wanjun would be the last to possess it, but Jong-un seems to have picked it up along with Wanjun's phone that night. At these words, Dak-hyung feels an even deeper chill inside. So Jong-un knew it was Oh Wanjun's phone. The boy now seems like a true manipulator, asking if the girl would be willing to take a closer look at him. To the girl, it feels like a threat. Something terrible seems to be approaching. But he explains he could never threaten someone he likes. His hand gently touches the girl's face. But the girl knows he's not who he pretends to be and pushes his hand away. Until now, Jong-un never let it show, which is why she never told him anything. But now she must know. He saw everything that night. The blood, the death, the bodies. She killed more than one person, and after that, he likes her? Could it be that he has some issues? He's a psychopath, but Jong-un replies that those people deserve to die. Jong-un tries to say something, but the girl abruptly cuts him off. What about those people still? Why did Wanjun target her? How did he find her so easily? It feels as though he always knows everything. Always one step ahead. Han Jong-un, who are you really? The guy tries to brush it off, claiming he's just very smart. He decides to get up, now towering over the girl, and says he has good intuition. And right now, he guesses the girl is wondering whether she should kill him right now or not. His intuition also tells him she has never loved anyone in her life. That's why he knows her claim about liking someone is a lie. But still, who is this person? Could it be him? It's a disgusting feeling, yet his eyes are undeniably unpleasant, as if they see right through everything. The girl decides to brush off this conversation, so he knows her one true secret. She finds it unfair, so it would only be right to exchange. Now it's his turn to reveal something. The guy doesn't seem to mind. He shows his leg where a very strange scar is visible. From past experience, the girl instantly recognizes the type. It's a gunshot wound. Once the guy also had someone he hated so much he wanted to kill, and that person was his father. In the girl's mind flashes that photo she had extracted from his computer. It definitely showed his father. The girl makes a huge mistake unworthy of a spy. She slips up mentioning that his father died 18 years ago. She immediately covers her mouth as if to stop the flow of unnecessary words, but it's already too late. Once again, that predatory gaze that seems to pierce right through her fixes on her. So she knows about his father. It's madness, such a stupid yet serious mistake. How could she allow this? Next to him, she feels so strange. Jong-un, however, is pleased that she finds him interesting enough to dig into his background. But it's all a lie. This man is not his father. He took everything from him. The head of Siang, Chairman Lee, that's the man Jong-un wanted to kill. The next morning, it's the day of the school sports festival. Dak-hyung, dressed in her PE uniform and still half asleep, makes her way to school. She hadn't slept a wink, spending the whole night lost in thought. At the entrance, a security guard stops her, asking for her name to confirm she's a student and not an outsider. The place is packed with people today. Of course, it's the sports festival. She's led inside without a fuss and walks on with confidence. Inside her head, though, it's total chaos. She can't piece her thoughts together. And then some man accidentally bumps into her. He drops a stack of papers and immediately bends down to pick them up, nervously apologizing to her at the same time. The middle-aged man wearing glasses looks up at her with an innocent expression, apologizing again for brushing against her. Dak-hyung suddenly freezes. Right at her feet is a strange business card. It bears the logo of the construction firm, Siang. That name alone makes her go rigid. She realizes there's a Siang representative here. The man guesses, almost correctly, that she's a student. He says he's looking for a second-year classroom. Dak-hyung quickly puts the pieces together, puts on a polite but deceptive smile, and offers to take him there. The man admits he's not a school employee. He works for a construction company, or so he claims while answering her questions. But is he really just an employee? Could he be someone higher up? That question makes him chuckle. Sure enough, he says he's actually on the company's board of directors, calling her quite the curious one. With all her questions, he feels like he's in a job interview, though he doesn't seem annoyed by her persistence. As for why he's here, he says he came to cheer on his cousin in the sports festival. They finally arrive at the second-year classroom. He thanks his guide and steps inside. A man like that came just to cheer on his cousin? Dak-hyung thinks. Yeah, right. That's almost funny. She notices he's already talking to someone, but there are too many people in the way for her to see who it is, and hearing them is just as impossible. Suddenly, her friend Jian runs up to her, wearing an adorable pink bunny costume. She's been looking for Dyoung everywhere. Jiyeon pulls her away from the crowd. Dyoung's outfit is totally out of place for the event, and they need to hurry. Dyoung stares off, looking strangely pleased. It seems they've made her wear this ridiculous black crow costume. Jiyeon and Jong-un, however, don't share her feelings. They think she looks absolutely adorable in it. What even is this outfit supposed to be? Jiyeon explains it's their class uniform. But why is Dyoung a crow? Well, the costumes were picked the day she wasn't there. One more question. Why is Jong-un a tiger? How come he gets the coolest costume of them all? Forgetting all her earlier plans, Dyoung starts bickering with her friends. She wants to look cool too. Jiyeon decides to draw tiger whiskers on her. But Dyoung jerks away at the wrong moment. A thick black line stretches from the bridge of her nose all the way across her cheek. Jiyeon bursts out laughing. For that laugh, Dyoung decides to punish her, pouncing like a predator on its prey. Now Jiyeon's face is covered in messy marks, worse than the single streak on Dyoung's. Jiyeon quickly tries to wipe the ink off, while Dyoung looks satisfied with her handiwork. She then decides Jong-un deserves the same treatment. After all, he was laughing too. The guy immediately looks terrified, but it seems she won't have time. In just a few minutes, they'll have to be on stage, so they'd better hurry. While everyone listens to the principal's speech, Dyoung just sleeps. Her friends are amazed anyone can sleep standing up. The sports festival begins. Dozens of colorful balloons float up into the sky. Jiyeon wakes her friend. It's almost time for the tug-of-war. But Dyoung's attention isn't on her friend's words. She spots a familiar silhouette a few steps ahead. She approaches the figure, and to her surprise, it's Wanjun. What is he doing here? The moment he sees her face, his eyes, mind, and expression fill with raw animal terror. Apparently, money really does give you courage. He's done something like this and still shows up at school. But his reaction is the same as Jiyeon's once was. In panic, he bolts from her. No laughter this time, just pure fear. She knows she can't just let him go. If he tells anyone she's been looking for Chairman Lee's son, it could cause problems. He's already drawing way too much attention to himself. Not to mention the fact that he just wet himself. Now Jiyeon is doubled over laughing. Not long ago, this guy was mocking her for the exact same reason. After a good laugh, Dyoung asks her friend if she's expecting anyone. Maybe her cousin Jo Tae-woong? She herself doubts she'll see her colleague here, but for everyone else, that's cousin Tae-woong. And yet, there he is, with the sign around his neck that reads her name. Behind him stands Jae-hyung. Jiyeon seems happy to see her friend's cousin, Dakyung, not so much. Why is Tae-woong wearing such weird clothes? And that strange sign around his neck, skin white as Milk Lee Dakyung? Why did he even come? How did he get in? He's not supposed to be seen in public. The guy says he's here to support her. Jae-hyung gave him a ride. It kind of feels like this guy's lost his mind. But actually, all this craziness is part of the plan. He needs to sneak into the server room, maybe even download something from the database. Another reason? He hasn't been outside in so long, he's finally feeling the rush of energy from the sun. Looks like Jiyeon's pretty into Tae-woong, supposedly her best friend Dakyung's cousin, though Dakyung herself doesn't seem too thrilled about his presence. But before she can get lost in those thoughts, a familiar guy shows up. Jong-un, holding a camera. And right in front of her, another familiar face appears. Jae-hyung, surrounded by his usual crew. The smile instantly fades from his face, replaced again by that cold, predator-like stare. When he asks for a photo, only Jiyeon and Tae-woong respond, even though Jong-un really wanted a shot just with Dyoung. The group quickly finds a girl who's willing to snap the picture for them. Everyone gathers for the group photo. Jiyeon is, as always, cheerful. Tae-woong and Jong-un are in good spirits. Only Jae-hyung and Dyoung look a little down. Dyoung studies the photo carefully, while Jiyeon gushes to her friend about how glad she is they became friends. She asks Dyoung to promise that even after graduation, they won't drift apart, or at least won't ignore each other. A bit tired but sharp-eyed, Dyoung jokes that she might ignore her, which doesn't exactly make Jiyeon happy. But Jiyeon suddenly remembers the third-year tug-of-war is about to start. They gotta move fast. In the tug-of-war, Dyoung leaves zero chance for her opponents. Thanks to her physical strength, she barely even has to try. Whether it's her feelings or just the realization of defeat, Jong-un decides to throw the game and lets go of the rope. In the end, it's obvious the first class of the third year wins the contest, all thanks to Dyoung. As soon as the victory is announced, everyone rushes to Dyoung, amazed by her strength and full of admiration. Jian, feeling proud as usual, starts ranting about levels and undeserving people, and promptly gets smacked for it. Jian just doesn't get it. They're lower-level students. It's rude to talk to them. But Dyoung doesn't care about any of these castes. More important questions remain. What's next in the competition? Jian scratches her cheek, trying to remember. The next event is soccer. And guess what? Lee Jae-hyung is on one team, asking for a pass. On the opposing side, there's Jong-un confidently dribbling the ball downfield. Tons of fangirls shout support for their teams. The fourth or second-year class. Dyoung doesn't share the excitement, wondering how Jong-un and Jae-hyung even made it to the finals together. Jiyeon explains it's been like that since freshman year. Those two are popular for a reason. The long game wears out both teams, sweat pouring down like rivers. Jae-hyung uses his shirt as a rag, exposing his abs. The girls behind Dyoung and Jiyeon scream in delight over Jae-hyung's six-pack. Dyoung feels like her ears are about to bleed. Jae-hyung makes a move, stealing the ball from the opponent and getting ready to shoot. He kicks it. The ball rockets into the net like a missile. His teammates swarm him, celebrating the epic win that sealed the final match for the second-year class. At first glance, they seem like ordinary students, if you ignore the secrets they're hiding. Finally, the match ends. It was an epic battle between two strong teams. Even though Jae-hyung's class won, their opponents don't look sad or bitter at all. Jong-un spots his friend sitting in the stands. Even though a ton of people brought him water, for some reason he decides to take water from Dyoung. He sits down between the girls, claiming Dyoung's water tastes better, even though water tastes the same everywhere. Wiping sweat from his face, he admits a little resentment. After all, he won last year. Dyoung doesn't get it. 2 against 1. Just gotta try harder. Their conversation is cut short by Jiyeon's shout. Everyone's tired and it's hot. Ice cream sounds perfect. Luckily, the freshmen prepared an event to hand out ice cream. At the entrance, there's a game, cold pepero sticks. If they set a new record, they get free Isuzu ice cream for life. That definitely catches the girls' attention. Even Jong-un looks interested. Isuzu's an elite ice cream brand. Having free top-tier ice cream forever would be pretty sweet. But Jiyeon backs out, saying she'd rather just buy some. Dyoung's ready to compete for it. Seeing Dyoung's enthusiasm, Jiyeon gets a little scared and offers Jong-un in her place. But Dyoung doesn't want to be near him. He'd be thrilled, and that totally grosses her out. Dyoung's still thinking about competing, but Jiyeon insists buying is better. You can see the mischief in Jiyeon's eyes. She's got some plan involving Dyoung and Jong-un. While Dyoung's still deciding, Jiyeon quietly slips away. Just as Dyoung's about to speak up, Jiyeon's already gone, leaving only emptiness behind. Seems that was Jiyeon's plan all along, to leave the two alone, hoping the competition will bring them closer. Jong-un once again offers to be Dyoung's partner for the ice cream contest. But she's totally against it. He's got way too many secrets still unrevealed. He's shady from head to toe, and it's better not to get involved with him at all. The guy clearly looks upset. So she decides to team up with Jae-hyung instead, and this seems to be exactly what Jong-un was afraid of. Bathed in warm sunlight, Dyoung asks Jae-hyung if he wants some ice cream. The rules are simple. If your lips touch, you're out. If you touch the pepero sticks with your hands, you're out. And if a pepero breaks, you're out too. A crowd gathers around Jae-hyung and Dyoung, buzzing with excitement, but Jong-un's feelings are anything but positive. Jae-hyung's confident, slightly stern blue-eyed gaze locks onto the girl sitting right there. He asks if Dyoung's goal is to set a new record. She's definitely not against that idea. Suddenly, he grabs the chair she's sitting on. He pulls her closer, and Dyoung already starts to regret her decision. It's way too close for comfort. The contest begins. Their lips are so close it feels like they're about to kiss. But Jong-un isn't feeling any of it. All he's got are hidden feelings of hate and irritation. Dyoung expected something totally different. This competition turned out way more stressful than she thought. Suddenly, things go off script. Jae-hyung grabs her by the neck but doesn't squeeze. His only request? Don't move. Looks like he's got some weird plan of his own. And now it looks like the moment Jong-un feared is about to happen. Their lips might actually touch. Meanwhile, clueless Jiyeon drags Taewon along, thinking Dyoung and Jong-un are together over there. But what they actually see is totally different. Dyoung and Jae-hyung kissing, and it looks intense from the outside. Jiyeon's stunned, just like Jong-un after witnessing this, and Taewon even feels sick from what he saw. Ji-yeon thought Dyoung was with Jong-un, but he's just standing off to the side, his face shadowed. Jong-un radiates this creepy aura like he's about to explode with rage, while Tae-woong still can't shake off his nausea. Dyoung pulls away from Jae-hyung with obvious disgust, and Ji-yeon immediately guesses she's got feelings for him. In the end, this almost a kiss didn't really accomplish anything. Just bad vibes and some serious trouble brewing with Jong-un. The couple didn't set a new record. Dyoung can't figure out how that happened. Did the winners just barely touch lips? That's why Jae-hyung told her not to move. Trying to hide his feelings behind a smile, Jong-un addresses her. He's just about to reach out when a few cold raindrops suddenly fall on him. Tae-woong feels the raindrops too and finally breaks away from his nausea, staring in surprise. While everyone scrambles to avoid the rain, Jong-un just freezes, not moving anywhere. Tae-woong decides to approach Dyoung's friend Jong-un. Looks like he's got something important and pulls her aside. He has some thoughts about the rumors surrounding Han Jong-un, like when the guy who splashed water on him disappeared. Maybe the guy has some kind of water trauma? Right as the first drops fall, Jong-un's expression changes sharply, and he disappears somewhere. But Dyoung immediately shoots down Tae-woong's theory. She once dropped him into a bathtub, and he didn't react like that. They really should check where he went. Tae-woong trails him a bit and points to the building he entered. On the way, two main questions swirl in her mind. First, why is Jae-hyung so obsessed with Jong-un? And second, why is Jong-un so determined to catch Chairman Lee, just like Dyoung herself? Finally, Dyoung finds Jong-un, standing alone in some school storage room. Jong-un asks how the game went. Not great. They didn't set a new record. Jong-un says she should have played with him instead. He stares out the window, lost in thought. Is he really afraid of the rain? But he says no. Then what's going on? Is he just getting sentimental because of the rain? It turns out old buried memories easily resurface. Someone once stabbed will flinch even at a fruit knife. Someone who had a car accident on a gloomy day will never drive in the rain. The first example was about a girl. So what does that mean? Did the guy get in a car accident on a rainy day without a license? He says it's not the rain he's afraid of. It's himself. He fears losing who he is, but why? Where does that fear come from? Who is he? The guy just says his name, and the girl gets pissed because she meant something else. She jumps up and repeats her question. Who is this guy really? Slowly, the terrible thoughts leave his mind, and with a smile, he says again, "My name is Han Jong-un." She turns away, slapping her face in disbelief. And this is the same guy who called himself smart? The girl wonders if there's some reason why Han Jong-un can't tell more. Just earlier that morning, Dyoung and Tae-woong talked about Jong-un's situation. Maybe he's in the same boat as them? Maybe he's even with the National Intelligence Agency. So, one more person with a reckless plan to infiltrate the school? And from the government, no less? Either way, she's getting nowhere with him. She grabs his shirt. He only says strange things, but she can't just ignore him. His smile fades, turning into a grimace of mild horror. More like shock at the actions of this familiar girl. She starts digging under his shirt, feeling around his body. The guy even gets a little embarrassed by her move. Turns out, she wants to test Tae-woong's theory. Maybe Jong-un really is a spy and has a bug on him. There's no listening device on the upper part of his body. Maybe it's somewhere lower, below the waist. Just as she's about to pull her hand away, the excited guy grabs her and suggests they keep searching. Maybe there really is a bug on him. The girl's stunned, feeling like Han Jae-hyung might even be able to read minds. Just then, as if sensing something, Lee Jae-hyung arrives and catches this oddly romantic scene at first glance. The girl quickly pulls her hand away from the guy's body. Jae-hyung complains that Jae-hyung always shows up at the worst times. It's weird hearing that from people who are always involved in weird stuff. Dyoung asks him to understand the situation correctly. Yeah, the whole thing looks obvious, but it's not what it seems at first glance. Jae-hyung calls Dyoung over. They have a meeting coming up soon, at exactly 11:30. She had totally forgotten about it. But Jong-un grabs her hand, not letting her leave yet. There's still time. No need to rush. He asks Dyoung to stay a bit longer, but she jerks her hand free. She's got nothing to do here. She walks away with Jae-hyung, the door creaking shut behind them, leaving Jong-un alone with his thoughts again. The downpour outside shows no signs of stopping. It even washed the ice cream out of the girl's hands all this time. Jae-hyung decides to ask her a question. It seems Han Jong-un likes her too, so why aren't they dating? She realizes it wasn't smart to say he likes her. The guy opens an umbrella and, like a gentleman, shields her with it. Dyoung makes up a story about being cautious with everything. Amid the rainy weather, strange, threatening shouts ring out. Shaky hands hold a pistol with a familiar paint job. An unknown person harshly demands why someone told Jong-un everything. The girl is trembling with tears streaming down her face, shaking as if from cold or pure terror, holding the gun like she's ready to end it all. Looks like the shooting contest is about to start. Jae-hyung writes her class number on her back. It's an individual event, but what's the point of winning? The class gets an extra 50 points, apparently. The trembling girl is heading right toward them. The poor girl seems unable to stand and collapses in front of the pair, dumping 2 pistols from her bag. A guy with a harsh voice orders her to get up fast. True fear is visible on her face. The guy tries to seem nice, but it's obvious he's not. He apologizes for the girl's clumsiness. The question is, why does she have 2 pistols? Do shooting athletes get special privileges? Do they have a big advantage in this contest? But that's not really the case. You still have to dodge balls. Yeah, it's like dodgeball, but with guns. How much stricter did he make the rules for the younger classes? Jae-hyung doesn't get why he's involved. The contest is about to start and will be held in the gym. For fairness, there won't be any spectators. Scoring will be done strictly by cameras, so the players should just enjoy the thrill of the competition. They're all being filmed. The girl covers her face so fewer people will see her. Jian watches her friend on her phone screen, confused about where Han Jong-un and Dyoung's cousin Tae-woong went. At the slightest noise, the girl spins around, pulling out her weapon. But it's just Jae-hyung behind her. The guy doesn't get why she's so unfriendly. Dyoung herself suggested being on the same team. But even so, who asked him to sneak up silently from behind? Because of her work, the girl's already got reflexes for that. She almost shot him, but he quickly pulls out his gun and fires somewhere right behind her. He hits a guy standing behind. A voice announces Kim Son-min from the first class is out. Dyoung is surprised by her teammates' quickness and sharp shooting skills. Seems like the girl caught the gaming spirit. She refuses to lose and challenges the guy with glasses to a flick finger contest for points. She heads toward one of the makeshift walls and spots her first target hiding there. Found him. The guy looks up too late. Oh, Taehyun from the third class is out. She's really trying in this contest, even though she said she wasn't interested at first. She says she just can't live with the thought of losing to someone. The number of players drops quickly, which is odd. The girl figures it's better to get down to avoid a stray bullet. Jae-hyung seemed to predict her words. Just then, a ball flies toward her, but she jumps down just in time. Luckily, the guy catches her, looking surprised himself. The girl wonders why he's so stunned. Dyoung carefully peeks from cover to see where the shot came from. She needs to know the enemy's location. She asks her teammate how many players are left. But the guy still seems dazed. The girl really doesn't understand her own actions and their impact. Maybe it's because of her close contact with Dyoung, Jae-hyung got a little embarrassed. Seems like she totally doesn't get it. Seems like the guy was totally right. Dyoung really doesn't get what Jae-hyung is talking about. Another player just got knocked out. And the competition announcer is talking about love between the pair, showing on the screens the moment when the girl fell right into Jae-hyung's arms. Jian watches the whole scene smiling and feeling all warm inside, thinking they really like each other. She's seeing for the first time how the usually serious Jae-hyung acts like this in public. Someone joins her. Turns out it's Jong-un, who sits right next to her. And she was just looking for him. The guy still seems down about the situation with Dyoung, talking about some kind of failure, and Jian doesn't get him. By failure, he means the rain. All the worst stuff happens when it rains, even though he didn't believe in superstitions before, or at least not really. He mumbles sadly that maybe he's offended the heavens somehow. Maybe it's time for an exorcism ritual. He even asks Jian if she knows any shamans, and she just doesn't understand the nonsense he's saying. Suddenly, there's white noise, surprising all the spectators in the classroom watching the contest. Seems like there's a problem with the camera, so the broadcast will pause briefly. This hasn't happened before. This unexpected news stirs some feelings in Jong-un himself, even pulling him out of his funk a little. Meanwhile, only 3 people remain in the contest hall. What should our team do? But the girl's gaze goes up. The drone filming them broke down. Not just stopped working, but seriously malfunctioned and started sparking. The drone crashes to the ground with the sound of snapping blades and parts. The team discusses what to do next as one of the last players appears, watching Dyoung closely. If you think about it, there was no points notification. Maybe they should use a phone, but the girl remembers they handed those in. The guy notices a silhouette behind the girl, calmly talking, unaware of the danger. He suddenly grabs the girl to save her from losing, or maybe from something worse. But the shot is too powerful, and red liquid sprays from Jae-hyung's strong body. That sharp, loud sound has long been burned into the girl's mind from experience. It wasn't a toy gun. The guy's shoulder is pierced, blood flowing like a stream from the wound. Jae-hyung is in a daze, feeling nothing. No pain, no blood, just absolute emptiness. He collapses weakly onto the girl, probably in shock from the pain, slipping into unconsciousness. The enemy is ready to fire a second shot, which will surely hit the girl and make her bleed. A face full of horror and despair. It's a familiar girl who passed by earlier, now collapsed on the ground. Clearly, it wasn't her choice to deliver such a strong hit. Dyoung carefully studies her opponent, calculating many options for what to do next. Suddenly, Dyoung pulls out the pistol given to her by Min-jae and throws it somewhere in front of her. Swift and precise, her throw hits the confused opponent right in the face, disorienting her. And just as her vision clears, the girl no longer sees Dyoung as her target, only Jae-hyung's body. Suddenly, Dyoung appears right behind her, knocks her to the ground, and slams her head hard into the floor. The gun disguised as a toy is firmly held upward so it won't cause more harm. Interrogation time with Dyoung begins. The girl only screams in pain, begging Dyoung to let her go, stupidly unaware that such pleas probably won't work. Dyoung decides to make her more cooperative by snatching the gun from her hands. Now the barrel's pressed right against the killer's head. She needs to know who gave the girl the weapon, but she can't say, apparently scared for her life. Dyoung pulls the girl's hair, causing even more pain. Maybe torture will loosen her tongue. She shares a secret with the girl. Does she know why Wanjun always runs away from Dyoung? Because she killed 5 people right before his eyes. So for Dyoung, hurting just one little girl by pulling the trigger is as easy as pie. But even that threat doesn't work on the girl. She actually wishes Dyoung would end her suffering and apologizes for what she did. Those words immediately bring back memories to Dyoung, a bloodied man with tears in his eyes. The old office was filled with corpses. The tall man held a bloody knife. Tae-woong tried to reason with him. They were comrades. But the man, like hypnotized, tried to kill Tae-woong, only saying sorry, as if unable to control himself. Just then, when the weapon almost reached Tae-woong's body, Dyoung arrived. A fight broke out, which Dyoung won, but she still tried to stop her comrade's bleeding. The girl broke down, hysterical. She had killed her own comrade and brother-in-arms with her own hands, but she had no choice. Tae-woong wasn't much better off. Trembling and crying, he didn't understand the man's actions since he cared about them the most. Why did he do it? At least he should answer why. Choking on his own blood, the man apologizes for what happened. He had no choice. His wife and daughter were in Siang. Then he says the phrase that triggered the flood of memories in Dyoung. He begs the girl for death. The executive director of the Siang group, Shinyong Huan, wasn't he the one who ordered this done to the girl? She seems to realize it. The killer's eyes fill with new tears, understanding she's been found out. Police and medics have already arrived, providing critical first aid to Jae-hyung. The girl throws a pistol, disguised as a toy, to the police officer, who is extremely surprised. The cop tries to reach her, wanting to talk since she's the main witness, but the girl is only filled with more hatred toward Siang group. After the incident, the school was shut down for 3 weeks, even though the successor of 7 Chaebols was hurt, and there was a gun at school. No fuss was made. Tae-woong reads all the news in total shock. How is this even possible? How could Siang pull something like this right inside the school? It's pretty simple. They just started losing their minds. In the end, it turns out the girl's already exposed. But where did she slip up? Yeah, she's done a lot of things, but it's still not enough. Unless you count what happened with Wanjun. Right. But how did she get away with it? Wanjun has connections, yet she's unharmed. Turns out Jong-un handled Wanjun's connections, so the girl didn't get into any trouble. Dyoung is furious. Why is she only finding out about this now? That's a major detail, meaning Jong-un has a lot of power. The girl nearly died back then. Tae-woong didn't have time for this. What if Jong-un is Chairman Lee's son? Of course Siang knew they were at the school. But if Han Jong-un really wanted to kill Dyoung, he would have done it long ago. He had plenty of chances. The girl lets the guy rest a bit. How competent is Han Jong-un anyway? Or maybe Oh Wanjun is involved in all this? Probably shouldn't have left him alive back then. But what about Lee Jae-hyung? Does he know anything about all this? Dyoung collapses onto the bed exhausted. Jae-hyung doesn't seem aware of the details yet, if only he could be trusted. But they overlooked something. All this is different from the methods Siang group usually uses. On the first day of school, Dyoung. That evening their office and Tae-woong were attacked, and that jerk was digging through the computer. The fact they didn't kill him right away means they didn't know exactly who they were dealing with. That's why he hacked the computer. But thanks to Dyoung, it failed. Then, seeing the girl's school uniform gave him enough clues to connect the dots. The school where the chairman's son studies, and the schoolgirl who helped the spy. He should have realized the girl wasn't a student. Most likely, he was connected to Siang. Isn't this the most likely scenario among dozens of other theories? The girl thinks it over, recalling all her past actions and plans for the future. But here's some good news. Dyoung remembered Shinyong Huan's number, and they're already trying to get in touch. The man stands dozens of meters above the ground, answering his phone. But all he hears is silence. A creepy smile spreads across his face. He gets it. Lee Dyoung. Myung Hwan's obvious question. Who is he really? The man has the same question. But spies know it's nonsense. Shinyong Huan clearly figured out who Dyoung really is a long time ago. Lee Dyoung, a pawn who always followed Yuan everywhere. Hearing this, the girl jumps up suddenly. Yuan was the name of Dyoung and Tae-woong's long-dead leader. But how does he know her name? Shinyong Huan thought all their guys were dead a long time ago, but he's still glad to see familiar faces. Only those he managed to check, at least 3. Maybe there are more? Tae-woong and Dyoung are in shock. There are only 2 of them. But he kept wondering how and why one of those familiar faces got into the school. The room is full of people, including a familiar mercenary girl and an unknown bloody man. Could it be they just can't get their revenge? So they decided to reach the chairman through his relative? Dyoung tries to deny it. But one question remains. How did they find out who he is? The girl tries to say something to the executive director, but he doesn't listen, approaching the tortured man with a hammer. A mad scream of pain and grief. Rivers of tears flowing from the girl's eyes. It seems this man isn't the last important person for her. Through her earpiece, Dyoung hears the sound of the hammer hitting. Dyoung quickly grabs a pen and writes something on a document. Shinyong Huan repeats his question. How did the girl get into the school? For him, this is one of the most important questions right now. The girl only wrote one sentence for Tae-woong. Find the location. The guy quickly types commands, gathering the team and scripting the plan. Myung Hwan has a proposal, but Tae-woong abruptly cuts the connection. Dyoung is furious. They were so close to finding their location. In reality, if it had been 1 second longer, Shinyong Huan would have known exactly where they were. But the guy did manage to find something and hands the girl a document, which she angrily snatches from him. This is the worst-case scenario. They already know everything. But one more question. What did the man mean about the 3? Maybe he was bluffing at the time? But the girl reminds the guy about Uncle Tai. She can't stop thinking about her comrade. Tae-woong has told her many times it's not her fault he died. So it's better for her to just forget it, so as not to torment her already broken soul any further. And again, the face of the man flashes through her mind. A man with no choice, forced to kill his comrades for his family. Dyoung says she needs to go somewhere. Tae-woong is shocked by her sudden decision. Is it because of that girl, Se-yeon, Shinyong Hwan's school mercenary? They're not in a position to help anyone now. Or has the girl forgotten their mission with the chairman's son? That's the point. They were dragged into this because of that reckless move, and Im Se-yeon and Lee Jae-hyung. Tae-woong understands he can't stop the girl, especially if she's right this time. He makes the girl a sort of bulletproof vest from books taped together and strapped to her body. They obviously have other weapons besides melee ones. Such protection won't stop a bullet, but it'll definitely stop a knife. Even if she tries to stop him, she should know he's not the kind of guy to back down easily. But let the girl remember just one thing. Never, ever kill. She knows the price they paid when someone messed with them before. Dyoung is the last precious person in Tae-woong's life, and he doesn't want to lose her like the others. On the way, the guy still tries to talk her out of such a sudden move. Construction cranes come into view, and the destination itself. A man, like a watchdog, stands guarding the place, but he seems to notice something strange on the side. He sees a strange shadow, like a silhouette, and hears footsteps coming from somewhere unknown. He immediately contacts the other guards to check the area. The man moves towards the target, ready to catch the unwanted guest, pulling his pistol from its holster. But no sooner does he peek around the corner than Dyoung appears behind him, ready to strike. Meanwhile, Shinyong Huan's henchmen are abusing the poor girl, tossing her back and forth like a ball. The man tells her not to watch the disgusting scene, but to get out quickly. He knows if Dyoung shows up here, they'll be in trouble. Just as he's about to talk to his comrade, a shadowy figure appears, lifeless eyes staring straight through him. One powerful blow lands right in the guy's face, making him bleed and most likely sending him to the land of dreams. The man tries to insult her, but the girl kindly gags him. Blow after blow, Yeon watches all this cruelty. Just recently, she never imagined she'd be in such a situation. The man is about to use his trump card, a knife, but the girl swiftly knocks it out of his hand. His life ends in a painful choking agony, right before the girl's eyes, who is breaking down in tears and horror. Dyoung asks Yeon only one thing, to lead the way to the poor girl's father. After walking some distance together, Yeon falls to her knees, recognizing the girl's voice and realizing who's in front of her. Rivers of tears flow from her eyes. She wanted to kill Dyoung just a short time ago, but instead wounded an innocent person. But even so, Dyoung helps her. Yeon asks if Jae-hyung is still alive after that incident. The girl's lawyer said it was only an attempted murder, but Dyoung says to keep moving forward. So Yeon's lost all hope. She tells Dyoung to leave before it's too late. These people are different, like demons. Yeon's sure of one thing, they'll die here, and their death won't be quick or easy. She doesn't want anyone else to suffer because of her. Even if they succeed and manage to get the girl's father out, they'll still get caught. Dyoung's tired of the whining. Grabbing her, she tells Yeon to shut up and lead on. Not only did she refuse Shinyong Huan's order, but she also managed to shoot an innocent person. She's just a pathetic coward, good for nothing. If she's even a little sane, she won't keep blaming others for her karma with her crazy requests to kill. When a chance appears, you have to grab it. If she's going to spend her life hiding like a scared rat, fine. But Dyoung won't be like that. In her last attempts, Yeon grabs the girl's leg, begging for her life. She realizes she wants to live. She prays for her father's rescue, wants to kill all the freaks who brought so much misery to her and her dad. The girl breaks down in hysteria, but Dyoung doesn't react at all. No words, no gestures. Meanwhile, the girl's father, bleeding, also prays for salvation, ready to give up everything. But his executioner is unmoved. They've waited too long, having believed those words. The father just wants safety for his daughter. They prefer not to mess with minors. How old will his daughter be when she's freed? They'll try to get her out before she's ruined. But how do you quickly get out a person who started a school shooting? The men mock that she'll get a role as a madam bar or cafe manager. The father doesn't need to worry about his daughter's job. The assassin who just arrived is already fed up. Dyoung tightens the noose around the executioner's neck. With a sharp jerk, she throws him off the chair, squeezing his strong throat he deserves for his cowardice. The man convulses in his death throes, trying to do something until the noose finally cuts off his air. His colleague immediately contacts the others, notifying them that there's a rat in their basement and they need backup. They need light immediately, but suddenly a razor-sharp blade flashes. The girl tries to kill the next guy, but he reacts in time, blocking her knife hand. He tightly grips her hand to weaken her grip, trying to make that cursed blade finally fall. Then he strikes her sharply in the stomach, trying to knock her out for a while. He's glad he caught the rat, but did she come alone? The man kicks Dyoung in the stomach so hard he could have broken several ribs. He's about to deliver the final blow to the girl's head, but she intercepts his arm. With a swift move, she traps the man with her legs, squeezing him until his whole face turns red like it's about to burst. She throws him over herself, giving herself a few seconds to catch her breath after the fight. But Dyoung reacted too late. The man gets up and slams her against the wall. He grabs her hair tightly, mocking her. Where did she even come from? And alone, like she lost her fear. But the girl won't cry or beg for mercy. With a sly smile, she looks at the ridiculous talking corpse. It was too soon to celebrate victory. The girl delivers a precise strike right to his neck. The man crashes to the ground with a thud, spilling a river of his blood across the cold, hard floor. Yeon's father's heart-wrenching scream cuts through the silence of the hall. It seems someone has grabbed the girl. One of the girl's victims survived and even took Yeon hostage. Methods differ, Taewong said. No, this is the true nature of Yeon in all its glory. Screams everywhere, Yeon's pleas for help, her father praying for the same, while the man asks about Dyoung's employer. If they don't want to see the lifeless body of the girl collapse on the floor, then Dyoung should drop the weapon and lie down. Having no choice, the girl obeys. The man thinks she's a mercenary. He should have found out more about where she was headed. But the girl is well aware of Siang. She's seen several knife wielders from the head office, but these guards are just mediocre. And these beasts guarding the place can only be used as living meat shields. The father decides to act like a real man, not a coward. Even bound, he breaks his daughter's grip. The girl immediately sees a chance to attack, rushing like a bullet straight at her opponent. The man is furious, grabbing the crawling Seyon by the scruff. He's ready to kill all three of them. Dyoung rushes at full speed to save Seyon from her inevitable fate. A shot, loud as the apocalypse's trumpet, cuts through the air, a bullet flying madly to its target. Dyoung's eyes are full of horror, shock, and a mix of countless other emotions blending into one palette. Seyon falls to her knees. It seems her pursuer vanished mysteriously. She trembles with terror. Just a few days ago, she probably lived a comfortable life, unaware she'd soon lie in a pool of blood. It's unlikely the young psyche of a girl used to luxury and love can recover from this. One of the Siang group appears, different from the others, carrying a different weapon, a firearm instead of a knife. Here comes the star of the evening, Shinyong Huan. How are they going to take revenge with so many attachments? There was a shot, fired by Myung Hwan, but the bullet hit not Dyoung but one of his own men. Why did he do that? Shin Myung Hwan tells the father and Seyon that it's time to disappear from here. Like a stray mutt, he throws the girl the key to the exit. Looks like they're lucky the man had a whim attack. She's trembling with fear, not believing it will be so easy. No wonder the man behind Shin Myung Hwan is ready to shoot. Shin Myung Hwan repeats his order. It's time for them to vanish. Dyoung promised to save them. Siang glances quickly at Dyoung, who nods that it really is better for them to leave. Dyoung's initial mission is complete. People have escaped their prison. Now it's time for a talk with Shin Myung Hwan. The man's guard confidently points a pistol at the girl. Apparently he's been warned that she's unpredictable. Shin Myung Hwan has a proposal for the girl, but Dyoung knows it's more of a threat. The man appreciates the girl's joke. He thought you couldn't just talk to Dyoung, only like this. The executioner looms over the trio. He's long known the spy's goal. She needs the heir of Chairman Lee, who studies at the Chaebol School. Shin Myung-hwa states his goal, hair-raising and impossible. He also wants the chairman's son dead, even asking the girl to kill him. The pupil narrows, showing the shock and confusion Dyoung feels. What is he planning? Only the chairman is pushing his son as the future leader. Initially, there was another heir, but suddenly the son appeared, causing difficulties. Yet one snag remains. How to put a spoiled kid who didn't even finish school in the chairman's seat? Yes, they're in completely different positions, but their goals are like 2 drops of water. What's true here? What's a lie? Actually, another question. Is there even a drop of truth? Why complicate things so much? Maybe if things get more complicated, it'll be easier for him to use it. If Dyoung's crimes become serious, his credit for her death will be greater. Is he sure she'll fall so easily after it's all over? Shin Myung Hwan took it all as a joke. He's long convinced that the girl has a strong sense of justice. His gaze resembles a wild predator eyeing weak prey. He bursts out laughing madly. Dyoung is contradictory, but if she wants to run, let her run. The girl's mind flashes to that very photo from the school festival. All those who consider Dyoung a friend, she's gotten attached to them. And Shin Myung Hwan is cunning. He knows there are too many people around her who can be used as hostages. The girl returns to the office, seemingly victorious. The hostages are saved, but the man is still several steps ahead. From around the doorframe peeks out Tae-woong, all tense. He seems prepared for the enemy's arrival, but luckily it's Dyoung. He thanks God for the luck that his friend is okay, but she surprisingly walks past him without a word. Distant. The guy doesn't understand this at all. No words, nothing. Dyoung just walks away somewhere. A gloomy shadow seems to fall across her face. Tae-woong tries to reach her, to find out something, but she seems not to hear him. She opens her phone, showing 2 messages. 17 missed calls from Jian and 1 from Jong-un. She decides to call the guy, who seems to be showering, but seeing the caller ID, his eyes nearly pop out. Jong-un immediately starts asking about the girl's condition, but she's indifferent. Her only question is, where is Lee Jae-hyung? For a moment, silence hung in the air. The girl asks the second question. Is Jae-hyung even alive? Most likely, he's in his private room now. So who is he? The chairman's son? Shin Myung Hwan can't say. There are ears even in the walls. The only thing he'll say is, lately the heir has been hooked on some kind of drugs. Should we believe these words or not? Gentle rays of sunlight break through the clouds. Dyoung arrives at a place where the guards don't let her in. It seems this is where Lee Jae-hyung is now. Let the guard inform Mr. Lee that Dyoung has arrived. It's hard to believe all this, but it seems he himself pointed it out, meaning his connection to Siang runs very deep. No matter what obstacles are put in the way, she has to see everything herself. The girl is finally let inside, where Jae-hyung lies on a bed with the doctor nearby. For extra security, the guards escort the girl, and Dyoung finally meets Lee Jae-hyung. The gunshot left the guy shaken, but something remained the same: his sharp, piercing blue gaze. The meeting was quite unexpected for the guy. The girl says she supposedly just wanted to check on how he's doing. It's enough that he's survived it all. The girl understands she can't jump to conclusions until she's sure. Until then, he's just an ordinary person to her, someone dragged into trouble because of her. Dyoung asks why he even got involved that day. It was just a game. Or did he actually know something in advance? Maybe he just had a bad feeling. Not that he knew for sure. If the girl is saying all this out of guilt, she'd better stop. Jae-hyung holds no hatred toward her for this situation. What kind of premonition is it that warns so well of trouble? But Jae-hyung doesn't want to talk about it now. The pain in his head is getting worse. But the girl clearly tells him, there will never be another chance for this conversation. Why not? The girl replies that she'll never come to school again. Though he got hurt, they were actually after her. Where does the girl get the confidence that they were after her? Confusion settles in her mind. Only the two of them survived until the end of the game. Does she really think they just got lucky? It's simple. She was just dragged into it. Is there a reason someone might want Jae-hyung dead? They say that after this incident, school security will be strengthened, outsiders will be forbidden to enter, and the number of guards will increase. Rumor has it they'll even install metal detectors. Jae-hyung finally gets up from his bed. Dyoung is tired of these mysteries. What do all these words even mean? Can he finally just say who's after him? Lee Dyoung, a person who always asks questions but never wants to reveal anything about herself. Now it's time for Jae-hyung to ask questions. Who is Lee Dyoung really? Is there truly an intention from the girl to reveal some secret corners of her personality to someone? Stepping away from the girl, the guy seems to forget his previous unanswered question and asks another, did she come alone? Without a car? Where's all the security? The girl silently stares into space, unable to answer his questions. Does anyone protect the girl at home? Dyoung stays silent again, either unwilling or unsure what to say. He hands her an access card and makes an incredible offer. She should move in with him. But what are his real intentions in saying this? Does he just worry about her? Or does he want to keep her close while watching her? The guards discuss some friend of the gentleman who came to visit. A figure with familiar curls watches them. The third party in the conflict has arrived, Han Jong-un. The guards calmly let him in. His visit was announced yesterday. The girl doesn't take the guy's offer seriously. Live together? Jae-hyung claims it'll be safer, no need to worry about her house being discovered after surveillance. She'll be brought to school and picked up. Complete bliss and safety. So what's the wait? Let her start a new chapter in life. Han Jong-un has already arrived inside. A guard politely opens the ward doors for the young lord. As always, Han Jong-un arrives at a moment that can stir a flood of emotions in him. The couple's lips are about to touch. But it turns out the guy just collapsed on the girl's shoulder. No kiss. He supposedly felt dizzy. His confident gaze is fixed on Jong-un. It seems he did it on purpose to make the guy more jealous and furious. Jong-un's eyes fill with confusion, resembling an innocent lamb, though it's known his position isn't that of a simpleton. The sparkle leaves his eyes. The smile no longer seems welcoming or kind. His gaze is filled only with emptiness. The guy came out of curiosity when Jae-hyung willingly invited him. He just wanted to see the scene. The girl moves Jae-hyung away from herself. Better for him to choose a bed to rest on than her shoulder. But why is Jong-un here? Sometimes Jae-hyung can be kind, though it's not very like him. Han Jong-un himself claims this. Now Jae-hyung asks why Han Jong-un came, then says he just worried and decided to check in. But Jae-hyung thinks his visit has a different purpose. The guy just wants to keep an eye on what he does with Dyoung. Jong-un doesn't even try to deny it. He smiles and tells Jae-hyung he hit the nail on the head. It seems Jae-hyung isn't in a good mood. Jong-un decides to just leave some gifts and go. Dyoung watches him closely. Didn't he come here just because of Dyoung? He says whatever comes to mind, raising many suspicions in the girl. The guy asks the girl about the bandage on her face. Is the girl injured? The guy worries about her, his face clearly showing the full spectrum of emotions. Let him not worry and go. Jong-un offers to escort the girl, but she refuses. Let him wait outside for now. Before leaving, Jong-un says he's glad to see that Jae-hyung has finally come to himself. A shadow seems to fall over Jae-hyung's face. He asks a completely unexpected question to Jong-un. Was it he who ordered Sayon to do it? The atmosphere between the two starts to heat up. Jong-un pretends not to understand what it's all about. Meanwhile, Jae-hyung has already started piecing together some puzzles in his head regarding suspicions about Jong-un. On the day of the sports meet, Sayon and Jong-un were in that storage room, and they were there alone. He thought about that incident a lot, and the thoughts kept bothering him. So what exactly was Jong-un doing in the storage room that day? It all seems a bit far-fetched. Did suspicions arise only because they were the only two in the storage room? But Jae-hyung already knows too much about Jong-un's personality. That Sunbae who disappeared 2 years ago now changes his residence almost every few months, as if someone is chasing him. It seems Jong-un is starting to get nervous now, though he still tries not to show it to others. What does Jae-hyung want to say by this? That his only way out is to kill him? That would fit the guy's character, to get rid of everything that irritates him. Maybe he's even in such a position that Jae-hyung's death would only benefit Jong-un. Finally, Da-kyung interrupts the conversation, immediately breaking Jae-hyung's theory, saying that Sayeon's employer was not Jong-un. The person responsible is Shinyong Huan, a member of the Siang company. After these words, it's as if everything inside Jae-hyung contracted. The name the girl mentioned seems familiar to him. The expression on this guy's face made even Da-kyung herself stop and think. Jong-un still decides to leave, calling Da-kyung to come along. But Jae-hyung immediately crushes this decision, since he hasn't finished discussing everything with Da-kyung. An empty look filled with quiet hatred falls again on Jae-hyung. Jong-un still leaves, thinking they'll meet again at school. Exhausted, Jae-hyung collapses onto the bed, asking the girl why she is so sure about the identity of the employer. They will talk about that later. For now, there's a different question. Which room will the girl occupy? The guy is shocked, which is strange, since it was his suggestion. The girl barely has any belongings to move, so straight to business. Where will she live? The home guard gives the girl a brief tour. Meals will be delivered at 9 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, and 6 in the evening. For safety, she should refrain from going outside. The girl carefully inspects her new room, which looks more like some royal chambers than a teenager's room. Before the man leaves, the girl asks if anyone lived in this room before her. The man doesn't know such details, but in any case, if she needs anything, she can immediately ask the guard behind the door. Meanwhile, Jo Tae-woong was sleeping soundly until the characteristic buzzing of the phone pulled him from Morpheus's realm. The caller is Da-kyung, who calls him by a nickname instead of his name, immediately causing shivers and horror in him. The girl immediately tells him she will stay at Lee Jae-hyung's place for some time, which clearly shocks the guy. Unexpected news upon waking, which instantly makes the guy forget about sleep. It seems the girl acts like this because of eavesdropping or a camera. So, how does she like the room? It's different from the guest room she had to stay in before, but also not like a room parents or brothers would use. It seems the girl wants the guy to find out more about it. It's not dangerous, right? He plays along, simultaneously writing something on a piece of paper. The girl has to end the call with the guy. At least she'll be careful. God help her. Da-kyung ends the call, looking intently at a bright red lamp. It seems she has come up with some kind of plan. Suddenly, something loudly breaks in her room. The guards immediately burst in. They immediately ask about the girl's condition. Like a natural-born actress, she plays the role of a traumatized girl for whom the red light causes fear and panic. She asks the 2 strong men to move the red lamp away so she can feel better mentally. The guards say they are ready to move her to another room, but first, she must go to the ward. The girl refuses this offer. Just as she was about to say something, a huge wardrobe falls between them with a characteristic crash. The man was about to speak to the girl again, but she's already gone. The plan worked as intended. She rushes at full speed somewhere, away from the room, only the guards' fading shouts can be heard behind her. It seems she has very good acting skills. If it weren't for her wild life, she might have made a wonderful actress. Suddenly, the loud silhouette of a male guard appears before the girl, trying to stop her. You can't just walk around the house like that. They surround her from both sides. They've even managed to tidy up her room. The situation is hopeless. She has to resort to acting again. The girl screams wildly, claiming everything around is red. She's used to descending from a considerable height, so she decides to jump from an inner balcony. The guards try to stop her. Talent, as they say, you can't waste. The girl lands calmly on the ground and continues her escape. It seems the guards, after seeing this scene, fell into outright stupor. They contact other staff, saying she easily jumped from the second floor. The girl manages to escape the pursuit, arriving at some strange, dimly lit room of this endless house. This place is guarded like the White House. 4 guards on the second floor, 5 on the first. But why so many? She walks deeper into the strange room, with few light sources, the windows tightly covered by curtains. A rather large library with many different works. Does Jae-hyung really read so much? Searching for the needed information, the girl decides to check the book with the least dust, but suddenly her hand is grabbed. A familiar figure appears. The girl was far from alone in the room. Jae-hyung is also there. The girl is stunned. There's only one entrance to this room, so when did he get in? Or has he been here the whole time? Several questions flood the girl's mind. What is she even doing here? Is it really so hard just to sit quietly? The situation is already delicate. Why is Dyoung creating even more chaos? Doesn't she know the guy let her in to protect her? The girl has nothing much to say. Letters can't form into words, then into sentences. The guy is clearly very angry. Can the girl not understand that the more she does this, the greater his anxiety grows? It's better for her to return to the room. That's the guy's final decision. But the girl refuses such a scenario. If she retreats now, she will be trapped here forever. The girl makes a rather unexpected decision, especially given her nature and temper. Dyoung seems to fall toward the guy, trying to get closer. She doesn't even fully understand why she acted that way, but she just remembered this tactic now. A memory flashes in her mind from some movie where one of the heroines apologetically jumps into a man's arms. Using examples from romantic films, Tae-wung taught the girl how to behave with men, especially teenagers. Should she just talk? Or immediately go for the hug? Tae-wung understands this is the girl's main problem. She has not a shred of sensitivity to romance. In relationships between a man and a woman, reason and logic don't answer everything. Emotionality is much more important. The girl takes off a small part of her outer clothing and begins pinching a not yet healed wound. She starts feeling an awful pain. It seems she's about to lose her mind from it. The guy immediately blushes red as a tomato. Sometimes it's so easy to manipulate guys with just a second of wagging your tail. Sometimes you have to change your image, showing weaknesses so the situation turns in your favor. Here is the reason why the girl was pinching her wound: to shed some tears for more authenticity. She says she was supposedly scared and anxious to be alone in the room. It seems the manipulations are working well. The guy grows redder by the second, as if he's about to burst from embarrassment. Moreover, the guy is totally stunned after seeing the incredible Dyoung's tears. Even she can cry. The guy suddenly turns his back to the girl. A deadly silence falls between them. Jae-hyung tries to somehow collect his feelings after that. She becomes confident again in her old methods, thinking those emotional manipulations are useless. The guy turns back to the girl, fixing his blue-eyed gaze right on her. After that, as if nothing happened, he walks away from her. The girl is in complete shock after this, not even noticing the guards who have just rushed in. They seem quite worried by now. She finally has to go to her new room, lying on the bed, replaying many thoughts in her mind. She hoped something would work out, but nothing changed. But something annoying appeared. A psychologist. A woman with an apparently rehearsed, sincere smile asks about the girl's condition and whether she minds talking. Dyoung wanted just a little more freedom, but everything happened exactly the opposite. She shouldn't have said she was scared of loneliness. It's already quite hard for the girl to keep smiling, realizing the nature of her new patient. But she understands it's better not to interfere yet. The woman gently covers the girl with a blanket, saying she'll leave her a business card just in case. The psychologist might at least be someone for the girl to talk to. Jae-hyung worries a lot about the girl. He was out of sorts and couldn't take care of her. If the guy really thinks and feels that way, he should come and say those words to the girl personally. The psychologist is ready to pass those words to Lee Jae-hyung himself. She is already leaving. Dyoung can always call her. Dyoung again plunges into her thoughts. If this continues, she will remain here for the rest of her life. It turns out Jae-hyung is really not so simple. He placed video cameras right in the girl's room. She just sits there, lost in thought. And she has been sitting like that for over an hour, which is strange even for the guy. For more than an hour, she's been sitting and thinking. Hasn't even her leg gone numb by now? The guy recalls that frightened face of the girl and what he asked her, namely, to stay in place. Now he begins to torment himself over those words. Maybe he really went too far then? The guard carefully watches everything happening on the cameras. It seems Jae-hyung is already leaving. Let the man notify him if something happens. And here a new event begins. The girl seems to have lost her mind, suddenly trying to climb out the window. Jae-hyung is just in shock. Information about this incident has already been passed to the relevant security staff. People have already been sent to the first floor. Jae-hyung is in total stupor after all this. The young master approaches one of the guards, accompanied by two others, asking about the current situation. The security officer immediately told the guy that the door to the girl's room was locked from the inside, but it seems Jae-hyung has some kind of plan. A few clicks and the door creaks open, revealing an empty room with an open window. Loudly, he calls out to Dyoung. He rushes to the window to see the girl, but there's no trace of her anymore. Instead of the usual voices of the guards, another voice is heard behind him, along with the sound of the door locking. The guy turns around and Dyoung is already standing by the door, with guards behind her trying to break in. Jae-hyung promised protection. Funny though, since this refuge has become more like a prison for the girl. Since the guy is already here, let him calmly take his camera with him, and then they'll have a proper talk. The guy has already realized many times that he doesn't understand Dyoung at all. Sometimes she can be so cheeky. Other times, on the contrary, she's naive like a little child. She seems simple, but that's far from true. Dyoung has already started talking with the guards, convincing them that the situation is normal. Despite all this, the girl behaves as if she knows everything in this world. A very unusual person. Jae-hyung sits down on the couch, apparently preparing for an important conversation. The girl cleverly planned this whole thing. But how did she find out so easily that there were cameras in the room? The guy should probably start with an apology first. Fortunately, he at least admits his own guilt. The girl probably wants to hear details, but the guy cannot tell her. If Dyoung wants, she can even leave. Jae-hyung is ready to take her wherever she needs, but the girl is not going anywhere yet. After these words, Jae-hyung was quite surprised. He expected a completely different answer after everything. The girl will stay here a while longer, but instead of this room, she'll live in Jae-hyung's room. With each new desire of the girl, Jae-hyung is more and more amazed by her. His astonishment never ends. It's also strange. The person being followed still wants to stay in the very place. That's not normal. And yet, Dyoung decides not to miss this chance. If she stays officially and for a long time, she can continue her investigation. But the guy refuses to let the girl live in his room, though he promises to give her a new and clean one. As for going out, she'll have to wait a while longer until it's safe. But Dyoung no longer wants to believe these words. The guy just wants to shove her back into prison again. At this pace, a whole week has already passed since the girl moved into her new home. Dyoung agreed to live in the new room only after everything was checked with tracking sensors. She was satisfied with the food, but the psychologist who came almost every day was very tiring. The body, already stiffened from constant battles and tension, clearly needed rest. Do Chaebols live like this every day? Although it's a bit hard for the girl to admit, this week was very comfortable. She even has a spa in her own room. But the sound of doors unlocking and the arrival of a guy distracted the girl from her well-deserved rest. The guy looks carefully at the girl. It seems he's blushing a little, not understanding what the girl is doing here. It's quite hard not to start burning with embarrassment seeing such a scene. But the girl does not share Jae-hyung's feelings. He abruptly turns away so as not to continue looking, so as not to appear a pervert. The girl asks if her isolation is over, but the guy doesn't understand what she means. I took a bath. Dyoung answers the obvious question from the guy, who has already taken off his cast. The girl asks what brought the guy here, but he, as if changing the subject, asks if she likes swimming. Surprisingly, it turns out this house is so vast that it even has a whole pool, but it's empty because no one has used it recently. Yeah, that's sad, but most likely it will be filled. The question is when? When will it be ready to use? Tomorrow or the day after, everything will be ready. And these words pleased Dyoung a lot. It seems the guy hit the mark with the swimming question. He calls the girl to follow him further. It seems he has something else interesting for her. The guy shows the girl a spotlight, which also surprises her a little. Jae-hyung has loved this place since childhood, always watching movies here. It was one of his biggest entertainments, and now he wants to watch something. Has the guy really lived here alone since childhood? Not quite. Or rather, not always alone. Sometimes there were people watching over him. The guy's finger twitched, as if he wanted to say something else, but the girl will hardly hear the full answer, even if she asks. Now, he is even ready to die. He is simply happy, never felt like this before. He became who he wanted to be. The girl asks the guy if the movie interests him, but he watches it only to clear his mind. Recently, he has had so many irritants that sometimes he just wants simple peace and calm. He is so tired. The girl turns to him, understanding what he means. In Dyoung's mind flashes that very moment when the mercenary shot far from her target. To lighten the mood a bit, the girl scratches the guy's head, which seems to surprise him greatly. Again, a light blush crosses his young face. Quite some time has passed already. The guy doesn't finish the movie. Sleep was stronger, and he finds the perfect place for his head. He simply fell asleep. Maybe he should be left right here. His sleep is very deep. It's better not to wake him. Perhaps this is the right moment, and there won't be another. It's worth using it to continue the investigation. She barely had time to properly enter anywhere when she was immediately met by one of the security staff of this house. The words that the young master is currently sleeping strongly surprise the guard, but the girl convinces him that it's better not to wake him. Let him rest at least a little, because lately he has been sleeping very poorly. It's generally difficult for him to fall asleep anywhere other than his own bedroom. The guy's eyes finally open. It seems he's a little surprised that he managed to fall asleep. He notices that Dyoung is no longer beside him, and it seems he's even a bit upset about that. Lee Dyoung is a very unusual person who stands out from others, and not because of her looks. She has drawn a line and doesn't open her heart to anyone. It's also strange. At first she seems like a pure bundle of flaws, yet for some reason, Jae-hyung keeps falling under her influence. The young master's thoughts are filled with only this one girl. She seems to have greatly changed his life. And here comes the girl herself, who, touching the guy's stomach, shows him that during leg presses, you shouldn't lift your lower back. He abruptly lowers the platform, with quite a heavy weight. The girl is stunned. At this rate, he's going to break his legs. Jae-hyung asks why Dyoung is here, but notices a very out-of-breath guard behind the girl. And what's so special about her arrival? Isn't it already allowed to go out? The guy himself was going to come to her, but she was tired of waiting for him. Probably Jae-hyung was just exercising for pleasure, or maybe there are other reasons. Dyoung suggests he take a break from training and go eat together. The girl has already gotten hungry. Dyoung is happy again. Tasty food always makes her happy. The guy goes to take a shower, let the girl wait a little, and immediately she has a plan to look for something in the meantime. Wearing a beautiful nightgown, the guy comes out of the shower, clean and clearly relaxed after such a pleasant moment of the day. Dyoung looks very tired. It seems she didn't expect the guy to finish so quickly. It's all very suspicious. The guy sits next to her, and the girl asks if it's not lonely living alone in such a big house. The guy answers that he doesn't feel lonely. Han Jong-un lives in a suitable place, while Hwang Ji-yeon and Jae-hyung. But the girl doesn't finish the sentence because the guy is surprised that the girl was at Jong-un's house. Let the guy not think too much. She just came to eat ramen. But the guy knows well the slang meaning of those words. Only now does Dyoung realize what nonsense she said. It's all Tae-woong's fault. These kinds of situations always arise because of him. But Jae-hyung says this only because he still thinks that the girl likes Han Jong-un, even though the latter isn't so clean in relationships with the girls. There was a time when Han Jong-un dated many girls, like he was on a spree, and they all shared one common trait. Last year, many brutal crimes were connected to the flourishing large illegal entertainment establishments. The families of all those girls Jong-un dated were connected to this. So his goal wasn't just relationships? Yes, either he has strange tastes or he used people as tools, but in any case, it's a problem. Indeed, Jae-hyung approached the investigation of Han Jong-un very seriously. The girl can learn a lot if she stays near him. The guy asks the girl if despite all these facts in the guy's past, she still likes Han Jong-un. A serious look is directed straight at the girl. It seems he really wants to know the answer to this question. Dyoung seems frozen by these words, not knowing what to say to the guy. But he immediately gets up from his place, apologizes for his question. Lately, he's been generally nervous. It seems to calm his mind a little, as he again picks up the terrible habit of smoking, which the girl immediately notices. But Dyoung snatches the pack of cigarettes from his hands. With his health, smoking will only send him to an early grave faster. In 1 second, the girl breaks the pack of cigarettes in two with a characteristic crunch. Either the cigarettes cracked or the guy's hope. The only hope to calm his nerves just shattered before his eyes into hundreds of tiny pieces. How many hours did the guy even sleep? He looks gloomy, like a kid caught in mischief, saying he watched the movie a bit and then stayed in the room about an hour. The girl grabs the guy by the scruff of his neck and throws him right onto the bed. This really looks like the beginning of some movies. But it turns out to be much simpler. The girl simply covered him with a warm blanket, ordering him to finally sleep. He needs not nicotine, but sleep. The guy tries to get up, but the girl stops him. He won't sleep anyway, but let him at least try to lie down and close his eyes. The girl is like a nanny or a loving mother, ready to sit with him until he falls asleep. But it's far from care. It's just a new chance for a search. In childhood, when the girl couldn't sleep, someone was always near her. But she doesn't finish. The guy finishes her sentence, thinking she means her mother. She was someone more than just a mother. Dyoung never felt lonely, but it seems she was deeply mistaken. It felt so good inside her soul, just the fact that someone's warmth was near her. It seems this is the first time the girl talks about herself like this. Yes, she sometimes told something, but this time is different, and the guy wants to hear more like this. Some time passed, the girl told how she even caught a thief at a computer club, and it seems this story makes the guy laugh. But he laughed not because the story was funny in itself, but because it's so typical of the girl's nature. She is reckless and impulsive. Is that a compliment? The girl asks why he's not asleep yet. Dyoung's stories relax Jae-hyung so much that he wants to hear a little more like that from her. He doesn't want so much to hear stories as just her voice. It relaxes him after all the worries. Jae-hyung finally falls asleep. Dyoung didn't even think she'd have to put the guy to sleep. She already searched the room, but there was nothing special here. And why is there nothing? So many assumptions are spinning in the girl's head, but there's no evidence. And the girl is distracted from her thoughts by a familiar ringtone. And the caller turns out to be Han Jong-un. The guy seems to have gone out for a walk and decided to ease his loneliness by calling his beloved girl. But the girl seems completely unwilling to talk to him. She wants to know the reason for the call, and the guy says he just had a good feeling. A guard watches her closely. After their last meeting, how did the girl get home? Was everything okay? The guy asks, trying to show concern. But the girl is colder with him. She only wants to know why he's calling, especially at such a late hour. Blushing with embarrassment, the guy says he just missed the girl. But the girl doesn't want to continue the conversation with the guy. It's better to turn off the phone, though Jong-un doesn't want to end the call. Finally, he says the reason for the call that the girl so wanted to hear. Jong-un wants to know if she will come to school tomorrow. Is school really starting tomorrow? Whatever happens, she'll have to go. Might as well be that way. Dyoung tells the guy she will come tomorrow, and it's already time to end the conversation, which Jong-un strongly doesn't want. He asks a question that makes the girl tense a bit. He wants to know where she is now. She simply answers that she is at home. Dyoung immediately starts looking around, feeling like Jong-un is watching her. Sometimes she gets chills from him. Morning of the next day arrives, time to go to school, and Jae-hyung has just started his breakfast. A familiar voice is heard behind him. Behind him stands Dyoung, who has already gotten ready and dressed for school. The guy doesn't seem to be planning to go yet. Indeed, he plans to go only next week. He notices the girl's uniform. It's the winter one, so it will be hot to wear it now. The girl is surprised by these words because she doesn't even have the summer uniform for this school. Now what is she to do? Lucky for her, the guy has one such uniform, just a female one, as if he sensed she would need it, so he didn't get rid of it. But of course, the question arises, why does he have a female summer uniform when he looks nothing like a girl? The girl learns an incredible detail about the guy's personal life. It turns out he had a sister. Dyoung is just stunned by this information. He has a sister, and the girl finds out about this only after so long. But another question arises. Why does he say had in the past tense? But these questions remain unanswered for now. It's already 29 minutes to 9 in the morning, so the girl better hurry not to be late. She quickly runs to the exit, grabbing the gifted summer uniform under her chest. Maybe she'll ask about the sister later. The guy wishes the girl a good day at school, hoping there won't be any incidents today at least. In the new uniform, the girl enters her classroom, which she hasn't been in for quite a long time. It feels a bit unusual to be here. First of all, her friend Hwang Ji-yeon notices her and is extremely surprised to see Dyoung. Dyoung sits at her desk, hanging up her backpack, and Ji-yeon immediately runs up to her, very worried about her friend, who hadn't been in touch. Dyoung silently looks at her friend, running some thoughts about her through her mind. Maybe nothing can be done about the guys, but it's better to keep a distance from Hwang Ji-yeon. Shinyong Huan might harm her too. Ji-yeon says they were just told that many people were hurt during the sports festival, and the girl was very worried that Dyoung might be among them. That's what the other students of the school were told. Interesting. Dyoung says very strange words, but they can be understood given the situation. Dyoung asks Hwang Ji-yeon to step away from her because she feels uncomfortable around her. The girl is stunned by such words coming from her friend. But it seems Hwang Ji-yeon doesn't hold a grudge long, simply calling her rude, thinking it's all because of the hot weather. Maybe they should book a guest house and go to the sea? Hwang Ji-yeon already begins dreaming about how she and her friend will eat delicious barbecue and swim in beautiful swimsuits. Darkness and shadow fall over Dyoung. She harshly tells her friend to leave because she's bothering her. If they keep contact, Jian will also be in danger. And now Jian takes her friend's words seriously, tears well up in the poor girl's eyes. Dyoung is so annoying. Covering her face with her hand, the girl leaves, heartbroken. She didn't expect the one she cared about so much to behave this way. If only she knew the whole truth. Loneliness overwhelms the girl. Now she has lost a friend, but it was done for her own safety. Shinyong Huan won't spare anyone. Dyoung stands outside, looking at the local experts. Behind her, girls watch and immediately discuss her, thinking she's top tier. Rumors about the girls' relationships have already spread through the school. Some say she's dating Lee Jae-hyung, others claim it's Han Jong-un. But they don't finish their talk when they hear a voice calling Dyoung and see a scene that completely stuns them. It turns out the voice belonged to Jong-un, who quietly approached the girl from behind and hugged her, saying he missed her very much. Dyoung angrily and sharply breaks free from the guy's embrace. You can't hug a girl whenever you feel like it, but the guy is just very happy to see her. He also thinks the girl's summer uniform is pretty. They hadn't seen each other for almost a month. The guy asks about the girl's condition. Behind them, gossipers immediately start believing that the girl is indeed dating Jong-un. Jong-un already met with Ji-yeon. She looked very upset, and he thinks that most likely Dyoung knows something about this. Hearing these words, Dyoung exhales heavily and sadly, understanding that she was clearly important to the girl, who is still upset over their breakup. Jong-un turned out to be faithful, turning to the girl for an answer to this question, even though she doesn't want to talk about it. Wagging his tail like a puppy, the guy really wants to know the answer to his very interesting question about the quarrel between Dyoung and Ji-yeon. Dyoung finally decides to tell him a piece of the truth. Ji-yeon will just be in danger if she continues to communicate with her. But it's better for him to just forget these words. She will deal with her problems herself. The guy suggests sitting down for a while. He gives her advice, even though it's just his thoughts. But even if Dyoung keeps her distance from others now, it won't change the situation much. Could he mean that it's already too late? Jong-un suggests his course of action. Just be close and protect. Firmly squeezing the can, Dyoung realizes the guy is right. If someone has noticed you, it will be hard to avoid it. And again, she dragged an uninvolved person into the conflict. The guy calms her down, saying everything will be fine. He suddenly turns around, giving the girl a very attentive look, as if sensing something strange. Dyoung doesn't understand what's wrong with him, but it turns out the guy always thinks he can smell Lee Jae-hyung on the girl. He asks the girl if she was with Lee Jae-hyung today. Clearly tense, the girl lies that she wasn't, but how did he smell that? Maybe because of a different shampoo? No, why should she care about what Han Jong-un thinks of her? The girl is clearly pissed off and rudely asks what difference it makes. The guy simply answers that it annoys him. So the girl asks what difference it makes to him. Could Dyoung be angry at him? Jong-un is a person who has the right to be. This guy irritates the girl more and more. She asks him why he treats her like that. Han Jong-un, lit by rays of the sun and shining with his radiant smile, replies that the girl is simply beautiful. So beautiful that it's hard to forget after seeing her once. Those words give Dyoung chills all over her body. The girl immediately remembers Lee Jae-hyung's words. Apparently, Jong-un collects girls of easy virtue, but Dyoung is definitely not one of them. Darkness thickens in the girl's mind. Could he be treating her like that? A memory from the distant childhood flashes in her mind. Her mother takes a call from a client, and the poor hungry girl sits in the corner. What's wrong with this Han Jong-un? Who does he think he is, and what about the people around him? Once again, she's convinced the guy is not so simple. He knows too much about the girl. Suddenly, the guy stands up from his seat and grabs the girl's hand, leading her somewhere forward. The guy places the girl somewhere ahead of himself. She clearly feels nervous about the whole situation and his actions. It turns out the guy brought her to Hwang Ji-yeon, the girl with feelings shattered into tiny pieces. Dyoung nervously turns to the guy. She doesn't know what to do or how to behave in this situation. She just needs to apologize for her rude and cutting words and try to continue the friendship with the girl. Realizing she'll have to apologize, the girl starts trembling. Dyoung is very nervous. She clearly never had to apologize before and doesn't even know what to say. Dyoung hasn't properly formed her speech when Jian, for some reason, is the first to apologize. She seems to realize she crossed the line all this time. Jian looks closely at the couple as if starting to fully understand everything. Scratching her hand, Jian says that they are very different from Dyoung. And they are different because Dyoung is on a completely different level, higher than where Hwang Ji-yeon is. And just as Dyoung wants to say a word, the girl leaves again. Surprised, Dyoung and Jong-un watch the departing girl. Why did Jian act so suddenly? Dyoung becomes even more worried. Some misunderstanding seems to have occurred. Again, the girl is proudly alone, reflecting on everything. She came to this school only for revenge. Memories flash where Dyoung is with Ji-yeon. The former was sure she just used Ji-yeon to gather information. She tries to convince herself she has no reason to worry about her. If she were so soft-hearted, she wouldn't have thought about revenge from the start. But still, why? Why do Ji-yeon's emotions bother her so much to madness? Suddenly, a familiar guy appears, whose sudden arrival makes Dyoung flinch in horror and fright. Dyoung is already tired of constant unexpected appearances from behind. Someone calls the girl from the side, saying "Miss." One of the drivers of young master Lee Jae-hyung appears, notifying that it's time to go home. Jong-un is extremely surprised to see Dyoung's driver. She says she'll leave a bit later, but the man immediately says it's better not to. The girl notices a familiar silhouette with pink hair coming out from behind the school gates, and the driver won't let her leave. Do you really have to ask for permission just to be a little farther outside the house boundaries? Jong-un is very surprised that the girl has her own personal driver. The girl asks the guy if he has a bit of time today. She suddenly grabs his hand, and they rush forward to finally catch up with Hwang Ji-yeon. Jong-un is just stunned by the girl's sudden decision. Behind them, the driver's voice can still be heard. The man quickly rushes to his car. It seems he's going to chase them by car. The whole situation seems very funny to Han Jong-un himself. They clearly ran quite a distance, and Han Jong-un has already started to catch his breath. Unlike his friend who seems unaffected, he's weaker than he looks. It's quite hard to run when your goal is to outrun a car, though he doesn't understand where the girl gets so much strength from. The guy shines with happiness and blushes. It's his first ever such unusual date with a girl. But there's a little problem. The girl was so focused on running from the car that she lost track of Hwang Ji-yeon. Did the girl follow her because she's worried and concerned? The only answer is silence. Jong-un assumes the girl just doesn't want to admit it, though in reality, that's exactly how it is. He calls her a cutie, which surprises her a lot. She doesn't understand what he even means. If Ji-yeon went home, that's a fail. In that case, she would have just gotten into the car and left. The guy shows that the girl recently posted a photo on some social network, and he even knows where it was taken. Alone and proud, Hwang Ji-yeon wanders through the shopping mall. This time shopping isn't so much fun. Dyoung and Jong-un finally find their target. The guy was right. With those skills, he could become a detective. As if sensing someone's gaze behind her, Ji-yeon sharply turns around. But there's no one behind her anymore. Strange, she thought she heard the boys' voices. Dyoung tenses up. They almost got caught. But Jong-un isn't taking the situation too seriously. This won't do at all. The guy's hair color draws way too much attention. They should disguise themselves. And this disguise idea only makes the guy burst out laughing. The girl just decided to put a cap on him. She puts on glasses herself. It seems this will only draw more attention to them. That ringing laughter is already annoying the girl, so she just decides to try on the glasses. Since they started all this, it would be nice to also change the school uniform. It's eye-catching too. They put on almost matching clothes. More precisely, matching t-shirts. Jong-un is thrilled with their look. They already spent so much time, and about Hwang Ji-yeon, the guy says she's already at the entrance and they should hurry. They enter a cafe where Ji-yeon is currently sitting, absorbed in her phone. They sit at a table behind her. The guy shows Dyoung the phone screen. It seems now he knows why Ji-yeon said what she did a few hours ago. It turns out the girl's level was lowered, and it was described in the school community. A foolish tradition. How does the school even allow this? They try to fight it, but only superficially, without much effort. The stock price of the cosmetic company owned by Hwang Ji-yeon's family suddenly dropped this time. Seems this is the reason for everything. But in any case, the question remains, does Dyoung really want to restore her relationship with Hwang Ji-yeon? The girl herself doesn't know yet. In any case, she'll have to explain the reason, which the other party will understand. If not, there will be misunderstandings again. Even though it's just Han Jong-un's personal wish, he would like the relationship between Hwang Ji-yeon and Lee Dyoung to be good. Because when Dyoung is near Ji-yeon, the latter seems to smile and laugh much more often. When Dyoung thought that Jong-un was just using her, she felt chills run down her spine, but at the same time thought it was for the best. If he had gotten close to her for such a reason, they would just be using each other and there would be no guilt. But still, the girl feels very uncomfortable about all this. Why is such sincerity so clearly read in the guy's words? But she has to distract herself from thoughts since Jian is already leaving the cafe, and it's time to continue the pursuit. Jian carefully searches her pockets as if she lost something. Behind her, the two continue to follow. But why are they following her all this time? Obviously, Dyoung doesn't intend to talk to her. Dyoung herself doesn't even know what to say to the guy. She's just worried the girl could be attacked at any moment. Because of all that hell caused by Shinyong Huan, she feels uneasy. The guy, not getting an answer to his question, looks at her. Suddenly, Hwang Ji-yeon addresses them, asking if they've seen her wallet. But the duo just silently turns away. Dyoung trembles, not knowing what to do next or how to act at all, and Jian doesn't fall behind them. She wants to know if they've seen her wallet. She clearly remembers paying and leaving with it. But instead of help, or even a word, the couple just runs away from the girl who doesn't understand anything. It seems Jian is now becoming the pursuer of those two, suspecting they stole her wallet. Dyoung decides to run into one of the alleys, but there's only a dead end there. What to do now? Panic is growing, and behind them, Hwang Ji-yeon is already visible. If they don't think of something now, they will definitely get caught by the girl. Here's the moment of truth. Ji-yeon sharply turns the corner to catch those cheeky thieves, but looking at the very end of the dead end, she sees no one. Strange, because just a second ago, two people ran here. She's sure her eyes aren't deceiving her. That couple definitely ran here and no other way. And again, the girl's day goes badly. Well, meanwhile, it turns out the two managed to hide here. Dyoung had to press very close to Jong-un, trembling with fear of being caught. Ji-yeon crouches down, no longer able to do anything. An unpleasant and strange feeling of déjà vu hits Dyoung's mind. She's gotten that close to Jong-un before, but this time she did it with her own hands, and the distance is much less than last time. Jong-un blushed deeply from embarrassment, but still the girl's position clearly pleases him. The girl exerts all her strength to keep that distance, not touching the guy and not giving away her location. The problem is that she also has to keep her balance. Any wrong move and she'll fall backward. Overall, everything is fine, as long as Jong-un stands still, but unfortunately the girl's cap falls off her head, though luckily the guy catches it in time. And right after the cap, the girl starts to fall backward, about to flop down like a perfect soldier onto the cold, hard ground. She suddenly grabs the guy's neck to hold on somehow and not fall. Dyoung gets annoyed by this fact. It feels like the guy did it on purpose to feel the girl's touch even more. He even asks if he should hold her for extra safety, but the girl politely refuses such a tender offer. Finally, the moment comes when they can leave their hiding place, since Ji-yeon has already gone far away. Dyoung crouches down and starts thinking. The whole situation was quite dangerous. If the guy had stood still, everything would have been fine. You can't sit in one place for too long. You need to continue following the girl, and the guy reaches out his hand to her. But Dyoung herself is tired of all these cat-and-mouse games and decides to forget the plan and just leave here as well. But what about Hwang Ji-yeon? Asks Han Jong-un, but Dyoung doesn't care anymore. The girl is grown up and can handle herself. The guy offers to at least escort her home, but she refuses this offer again. Just as the girl is about to leave, Han Jong-un distracts her. He notices something strange. A sneaker. Ji-yeon was attacked. She was pushed hard, and the poor girl hits her whole body against a wall. A strong and formidable man towers over the defenseless girl, waiting for her to confirm her identity. She tries to prove the opposite, that she's not Hwang Ji-yeon, but the man shows solid proof, a photo of the girl with her father. Ji-yeon is terrified. She prays for rescue, but the man tries to calm her down, saying he doesn't intend to kill her. Because of her father's foolish actions, he lost his entire fortune, 500 million, and that's exactly the amount he needs. Because of her father's foolish actions, he lost his entire fortune, 500 million, and that's exactly the amount he needs. But suddenly she freezes, remembering one thing. She lost her wallet. So what now? The man looks at her with a soulless predator's gaze, simultaneously searching for something in a bag. He pulls out a strange red bottle. Let Hwang Ji-yeon not blame him. It's all her father's fault. The girl has a breakdown. She has no strength left, neither to scream nor do anything else. Only quiet pleas for rescue, because death is about to come. But in time, Lee Da-kyung appears and with a sharp movement grabs the man to slam him hard onto the ground. With a quick motion, she snatches the strange bottle from the firm grip of the stunned man, surprised by the sudden attack. With a quick throw, she passes the bottle to Han Jong-un, who also can't understand what it is. Only now does the terrible realization come to mind. The contents of the bottle is acid. Like a real police officer, the girl twists the man's arm and slams him firmly onto the cold, hard ground. The man immediately starts shouting obvious questions and commands. Who grabbed him? Let him go. So the first question should be from Dyoung. Dyoung immediately assumes that Shinyong Huan is to blame again, and that he sent this man after Hwang Ji-yeon's soul. While the interrogation is happening, Jong-un quickly runs to the poor girl. Jian is hysterical, like Siang. She never expected this moment in her life. Trembling from the horror of what happened, she still looks up and sees her companion Han Jong-un. Gradually, the poor girl begins to lose consciousness from the trauma and stress. Meanwhile, Dyoung delivers strong and precise blows to the man's head and body, but suddenly freezes. Han Jong-un states the obvious, that it's time to stop now. The man's face is already a bloody mess. A large police squad arrives just in time at the crime scene. The attacker had no connection to Siang Group. It was a crime caused by personal animosity. Should it be considered lucky that Jian was not the target? Tearfully, Hwang Ji-yeon's father thanks the couple for saving his beloved daughter. He takes Dyoung's hands, seeing how battered they are from the series of blows. The man is ready to reward them for their work. The girl abruptly turns and walks away, not answering a single question. The father immediately thought he had done something wrong, but Han Jong-un reassures him that everything is fine. Jong-un follows the girl. Hwang Ji-yeon's father watches this strange scene with surprise. The girl wanders alone through the city streets, seemingly burdened once again by heavy thoughts in her mind. Those hands have killed many people, so many that the girl has long lost count. Does she even deserve gratitude? The more she thinks, the more confused her feelings become. But her thoughts are interrupted by the arriving Jong-un. He realizes the girl must be very tired after this difficult and frightening day. A familiar car approaches. Han Jong-un and Dyoung don't yet notice the arriving guests. Because of all the fuss, the guy forgot he had something for Dyoung, but suddenly notices something. In a second, his expression darkens, as does the entire aura around him. Lee Jae-hyung has arrived and orders the guy to keep his hands off Dyoung and also starts scolding the girl herself. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this review, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a new video. Let me know in the comments what you thought of this story and what manhwa you'd like to see next. See you in the next installment.